Step one, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step two, get some food in you. Step three, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step four, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Yo. Set your affirmations, aspirations. I got shit to do, the aftermath of preparation. Good food, good mood, blood in circulation. One step at a time, yeah, that's how you make it. Set a goal you control and the steps you take them. I try to pick one thought, have some concentration. And if I make a mistake, it's called education. I try to do this every day, call it replication. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 So life ain't easy, yo, I think there's a reason though. Ups and downs, just like every different season, yo. Sometimes I'm high, other times I'm barely breathing, though. I always gotta fight and hide from the demons, yo. Negative thoughts are poison, they rot. Head full of flies, so here come the clouds. They'll never stop unless I can swap all the bad for the good in my head when I'm lost. Yeah, so I'ma fake it till I make it. Positive thoughts are overtaken, I got patience. One day at a time is how you operate a cadence. A flow, you grow, you show yourself a foundation. Stay away from all the shit that causes temptation. I know that I like to do it cause it's sensation. I live my life in my head like a narration. Don't expect greatness, do my best, man, I'll take it. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Good morning, our beautiful coffee club. I hope you guys are having a wonderful hump day. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty channel.
Today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step two, get some food in you. Step three, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step four, everybody just do your thing.
As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.
I gotta love it. Sorry, the dog was barking, so I had to mute so I could call her in here, so it didn't disturb the garbage truck for the yard waste. You guys know I've been doing a lot of yard work, and they were out front making some noise, and I was turning off the microphone so you guys didn't hear it. Good morning. I'm Bullhorn Betty. This is the Bullhorn Betty Show, and we've got a lot of cases that we are going to be going over with you guys today. Well, 3 major cases that we're going over that we've covered extensively. Obviously, Emmanuel is going to be one of the top cases that we are covering. This is the 7-month-old child that disappeared. Parents are really coming under heavy scrutiny for a variety of reasons. And of course, a past attorney that helped him out with the 10-week-old that he abused, and I'm talking about Jake Haro, he got a sweetheart deal. And it was because of this attorney that you see on my screen right now, where I'm saying guilt trip, because he's trying to guilt everybody that feels the way that they feel, because we don't believe the information that is coming out. But we're not going to start there. First, we're going to start with a not so good news, but I think that it's important that we get this information out. It has nothing to do with true crime, but it is something that I did come across. I don't know how many, know we're here with resources and everything for families, a whole bunch of stuff. But this is good and bad. This is good and bad. But I do think it's important that we do see it. And just to inform all of you guys what's going on. It's related to Section 8 housing, and it made me kind of stop and read and review it, even though I'm not on Section 8. I know people that are, and, I always try to get as much information out there to our families as possible if I do see something, especially even though it doesn't have anything to do with true crime. I am political. I'm a political activist, and there are some new information coming out in the political world that is affecting Section 8 housing. So the process for removing lifelong Section 8 housing recipients. These are people that have been on the system that have never really wanted to get off the system, and they're starting out with the people that have been on Section 8 housing the absolute longest time, and they're going to be working their way down. There are new rules for Section 8. You can only have Section 8 for 2 years. The new rules, you cannot maintain Section 8 for a lifetime use. It has to be a hand, up, not a hand out. And that's where we're changing some dynamics here. So people will not be able to get Section 8 for more than 2 years. October 2025 is when they're supposed to be doing the budget for 2026, and these rules will be sent to the states. So this doesn't look like it's going to be affecting people until October, but October is right around the corner. So I think it's important that anybody that has family, friends, or other people on Section 8, that you guys reach out and make sure that you're not going to be affected. And if you are, you have some time to at least make some changes in your life. The states will notify the tenants who have been on Section 8 for longer than 2 years. They will notify you and give you 60 to 90 days. So that's in addition we got until October, and I'm sure that they're already starting to notify people. So they're giving people grace periods, but it's not much. 90 days is not much to, so I think this is important. This is really something that does affect a lot of people in our country. Making you aware that the program would end for you in 60 to 90 days. They'll let you know 60 versus 90-day notice depending on the state. Public Housing Authority representatives will make contact with people who are currently on Section 8, beginning with who have been on the program the longest. Section 8 will no longer be a lifestyle passed down from generation to generation. And this is a person that's kind of explaining what's going on here, and I thought it was pretty interesting, so I think you guys should hear it.
He's going to hand every... This is a video about the Section 8 change and what's going on with that. So as you may know, Trump is changing how Section 8 is being ran. He's going to hand everything over to the state. And
I might have a problem with this because the music behind it I don't think is suitable. I can do it for the 10 seconds, but I think that's it. So basically what she's saying is that it is important, people need to pay attention, that there are... It's just no longer going to be a lifestyle. So there have been many generations that have grown up on Section 8, become Section 8 recipients, raised children on Section 8. And, they're just trying to make sure that this is not being abused. It's being used properly, I think, is really the situation. Okay, guys, you guys don't know, this is my sheriff. This is Sheriff Rick Wells. He's from Manatee County. As many of you guys know, that is my county that I reside in. Let me try to adjust this a little bit so I don't have to keep popping up on here too much. I'm probably gonna have to adjust it again for the next one because this is a Facebook post. Okay, I'm not gonna do too much with it. So this is my sheriff. So when you guys hear me talking about my sheriff here in Manatee County, this is the gentleman that I am speaking of. This is Sheriff Rick Wells. I do have a high regard for my sheriff. As many of you know, him and his family have been part of this community for a very, very, very long time. My upbringing, his daddy was our sheriff. Now he's kind of has the baton, and he has been, he grew up in the ranks. So it's not like he's just, a DC lady that got her thing because she was friends with the mayor. This man has been part of our sheriff's department since his daddy was running it. He was a deputy sheriff. He came up through the ranks just like everybody else. He did not get the baton passed to him from his father. So I just want to make sure you guys understand he had to work for his position here. His baton was handed down to the second in charge from his father, and he worked very hard whenever that man was retiring to take over his position. So he earned this right here. He is a good sheriff, I believe, in our detectives here. I have some, as in any law enforcement, we have problems, and we take care of those problems. So if we have a rogue law enforcement agency under the command of Rick Wells, they will no longer. Okay. He's a good sheriff. He cares about his community. And he relies heavily on his team. His team went out there for Giovanni Pelletier. Okay. This is a hard case because we don't know what happened to Giovanni. We're finally having some clarity, and what we thought we knew about the case has been bouncing back. Were the cousins telling the truth? Were they not telling the truth? That has been the topic of conversation for a while. In my opinion, now that I hear from my sheriff, I believe, I don't think they're being truthful about what substances they used. I told you that there might be something that everybody is not talking about, is the use of substances because of their age, the date, the time, and stuff like that. We even, we were sus on the cousin's statements the first time he's meeting them, and they go pick him up really late at night, and then he goes missing. It just seemed all types of sus. But we also took the path that, let's say that the cousins' stories are accurate. What would cause this boy to flip out? And the only thing that I can come up with that would make sense to me is substances. Now, they're saying that he only smoked some Mary Jane, nothing big. It sounds like, based on text messages that you guys are going to hear, we're going to listen to this press conference. It sounds like he's smoked before, so this is not uncommon for him, okay? So, and it's not uncommon for many people, so I don't want to judge him because he smokes a little bit of pot here and there or anything like that. Most people do, okay? If you guys haven't noticed, there's states all over the country, even Bible Belt states, that are pushing to legalize cannabis. So it's not that's what I was thinking, common sense laced, but it's words that the cousins said that really kind of make me feel like, did they, I don't want to say this, but it is something, because now that we're starting to realize their story is mostly true, it does make me wonder if somebody played a prank on him and maybe have dosed him with, a tab or something like that causes hallucinations, because they kept saying he was tripping. He was tripping. And, you know, I know that's a slang when somebody's like going nuts, you know, tripping. And I know that could be, but could it be something else, you know, or, you know, like Common Sense said, maybe something laced, you know, this day and age, if you're picking the stuff up off of the street, you don't know what you're getting. And that's the reality of it. So I just thought you guys should hear it from my sheriff. He has some videos. It doesn't look like Giovanni was being chased. He was almost hit by a truck on I-75. It sounds like the story that the cousins are saying is becoming true. I know where River Road is. I know where these places are. And it just, the area, why they dropped the backpack off with the phone, none of that makes sense still to me. And so I still think that there's still maybe something going on here with the cousins, because the toxicology is not back yet. And that really is going to hone in. My sheriff says that there is nothing that is visibly seen on this young man. He doesn't have any bullet wounds. He has no stab wounds. He doesn't have any blunt force trauma evidence on his body. And they do see him flying down this steep embankment. And right after that embankment is the body of water they found him in. So I think he was really inebriated. I think more inebriated than what their cousins are saying. And I think that was horrible. The cousins, no matter how you look at this, and I'm going to say this, I hope they're watching. I hope they're watching. Shame on you. All of you. All of you. How dare you drop some kid off in the middle of nowhere because he's flipping out? You should have stopped the car. You should have just stayed at bay. There were so many more decisions that could have been made that night. And at the end of the day, whether they are culpable because of criminality or they're culpable for just being pieces of shit, I don't care what it is. But you don't leave somebody that is having a mental breakdown on the side of the blessed road. Period. Period. So I'm ashamed of them. I'm glad to know that they didn't do anything horrible to this boy. But shame on them for putting themselves in this position. Shame on them for going and taking the responsibility of that child by going and picking him up and taking him out and then leaving him, where he ultimately lost his life because he was clearly having a mental break of some sort, and it sounds like it was from something they contributed to his body. So the public perception from the Bullhorn Betty channel is shame on those cousins. And if the parents haven't held those cousins accountable, shame on you too. If you're paying for the phone, stop. If you're loaning the car, stop. If they need to work, they got legs. That's what I have to say.
Giovanni Pelletier case, death investigation. But before I get started,
that's really low. I might have to go to a different one. Hold on a second. I might have to go to a different one. That's just too low. Giovanni Pelletier. I hate when it does that. I don't want this stupid, you know, what's my history been? This is so stupid. Whatever. I hate these things. Maybe WFLA will have it. No. Give me a second. I know somebody, let's do the press conference. Somebody's got to have it, because I saw it this morning and I went to go get his, but his is just too low. They need to have better audio in the, or have their team do something a little better there. All right, we're just going to, I'll just have to, tell me if you guys can hear this. I'm just going to have to ramp up the volume. I'm going to turn my volume down.
Bridget, the mother of Giovanni, and the entire family as they struggled during this very difficult time. And we
can you guys hear that better?
Blessings are bestowed upon them, and we're here to hopefully give them some information that will give them closure at some point. Before I get to where we're at in the investigation currently, I think it's important to go back and start from the beginning. So on Thursday, July 31st, there's communications between Giovanni and his cousin, Latrell Hearn, about...
I will tell you that Rick Wells, excuse me, Rick Wells breaks this case down piece by piece, okay? So it's a little lengthy. The whole entire press conference is about 24 minutes. I really think we need to stay here for the entire 24 minutes. I'm not going to interrupt. We're just going to watch this for the 24 minutes. I'm actually going to take my face off the screen. But I think we need to watch this because he brings on video. And I think you guys need to see the video. So we're completely, in the good as far as you guys seeing that this child wasn't injured by the cousins. I think this is important. So I'm just gonna take my name, my face, and everything off here, and we're just going to let Rick speak.
Latrell picking up Giovanni, who's in Charlotte County, and taking him back to Brevard County, where Latrell lives. They're trying to figure out the details. At 5:41 p.m., Latrell texts that he's going to have to use his grandmother's car, which is a white Malibu. At 8:30, they're still texting each other. They text about smoking weed. Giovanni says that I haven't had a smoke in a while because of court stuff going on in North Carolina. And he goes on to say, I definitely need a smoke.
So he's familiar.
10:08 p.m.
He's familiar,
Latrell,
guys.
Jalen Washington and Zachary Cummings start heading towards Charlotte County. Zach Cummings is the driver of the white Malibu at the time. During interviews, Latrell tells detectives that not long into the drive, they start smoking weed in the car, and Giovanni starts tripping. They stop the car at an unknown location along River Road before they got to I-75 because Giovanni needed to use the bathroom. Latrell says that Giovanni is acting out and raging before getting back into the car. They continue driving north on I-75, and at this point, they're about 26 miles away south of State Road 70. At 1:55 a.m., Giovanni sends his mother a text saying help. At 1:56 a.m., he sends another message that says help, followed by me. Jalen says Giovanni was tripping, telling them, I am a demon, and I will wreck this car.
Okay, so this is where I'm starting to believe somebody sauced something, okay? So you've got a kid where we can agree. I'm sorry, I told you guys I wouldn't. I told you guys I wouldn't interrupt. But I'm going to interrupt, okay? I'm going to interrupt. Let me put my big old face up here so you guys can see me. Hi, I'm Bullhorn Betty. But this is where I'm starting to believe, like, they're saying he's tripping. He's acting bizarre. He is flipping out. This, either they got something that really, really messed with this young boy. This young man. I call him, kids are kids to me. I'm sorry. I know it's bad for me to do that, but I do. But this description he's saying, I want you guys to hear it. Tell me that it doesn't sound like there's another substance other than marijuana being utilized here. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. So hopefully you guys can hear me. I turned my volume down a little bit. Maybe I should get a little closer to the microphone. I don't know if you guys can hear me. But what I'm trying to say is that it just feels like there's something else going on here. That's it. Let me go back just a little bit. Let's go back to maybe 303 and listen to that again.
It says Giovanni was tripping.
See?
Telling them I am a demon and I will wreck this car. And says he will kill them all as he tries to open up the door while the car is still moving. This happens while they're in Manatee County, close to State Road 70. Zachary, the driver, pulls the car over onto the side of the road on the shoulder, the northbound I-75 on the east shoulder of State Road 70. Jalen and Zach are in the front seats, and they hear that Giovanni has a knife. Now, we know that he always carried a knife. He had two knives. He had a folding pocket knife, and he had a blade, but this knife was still in the sheath.
Folding pocket knife, y'all. Folding pocket knife and a blade, a straight blade with a sheath.
They said that Giovanni gets out of the car and begins running southbound in the southbound lanes of I-75. They see him in the middle of the northbound lanes and almost get hit by a truck. This is the last time they see him. He left behind his backpack and cell phone, so they took that and placed it onto the side of State Road, or I-75 at State Road 70.
So they take his backpack and they put it on the side of the road, y'all. The side of the road. Who does that? He takes off and you just dump their crap out of the side of the road. Why didn't they turn around and go back to his house and get his parents? I mean, they were only 20 or 30, a heck of a lot closer to Inglewood than they were to Mims, Florida. It just seemed so irresponsible, in my opinion. Just irresponsible. Sorry, not sorry.
At the entrance ramp on the east side. At 2:26
Me too,
a.m.,
Peggy.
Latrell calls his grandfather to let the grandfather know that Giovanni got out of the car. At 2:27, Latrell calls Bridget, Giovanni's mother, but there's no answer. We know that they continue northbound on I-75. We have them stopping at the Flying J truck stop in Hillsborough County off of I-4, and you can tell by their phones that they eventually make it home to Brevard County.
So I do believe he did ring his mom, because his mom's confirmed it. An aunt confirmed it and a grandfather confirmed it. So it sounds like he made multiple calls to multiple different people. But it sounds like he made that obviously before he exited the vehicle, no? Because we'd have to analyze this. Now, what I don't know if he said this yet or not, but what you're going to hear Rick tell you is that the phone and you just heard it. The phone and backpack were in the car with the people. And they throw the backpack out on the side of the road where ultimately a truck driver ends up picking it up. So that means all of those calls for help were done before he took off. Now that's a little odd for me. I just want to put that in perspective because that's truly what we're going to hear here. Because he didn't have his phone. We just heard the backpack was dropped off by the cousins on the side of the road when he took off from them. And he almost got hit by a car. So how did they have his cell phone if he was already out of the car and begging his family for help? And when he started asking them for help, why didn't they just turn around the car and say, hey, look, dude, we'll take you home. Just chill. We're turning around right now. We're taking you back home. Is that what you want? You know, should we stay here with you? And definitely not on the side of the road. Why did they take the car? Okay, God, okay, you're going to hear that he was trying to exit the car while the car was still moving. Okay, at that point, pull off to a gas station. Go in there and get a clerk and say, look, my friend's flipping out. I don't know what's going on, and we're leaving. Here's his stuff. Here's his mom's number. Call him a ride. Call him an Uber. Call him something. We can't handle him like this. Nothing. So I'm still kind of sus. You know, we're still waiting for the toxicology. Yes, exactly, Pebbles. Great point. Great point. Absolutely. So, I'm still not convinced that they have no culpability in this. Actually, as a matter of fact, I think they're 100% responsible for the situation at hand. But how do you hold them accountable for being pieces of garbage?
At approximately 6:50 a.m., Luttrell calls Bridget again. She answers, and he gives her the information on what transpired that night. At 7:13, Bridget calls the Manatee County Sheriff's Office to look for Giovanni on I-75. She says, from the 911 call that we collected, I received some missed calls from my son this morning. He was being picked up by a relative, and I was told that they left him on the side of the highway. That there was some type of an altercation, and
I would have been furious. Even with the knife, I would have still, if he was acting that erratic and I just almost watched him get hit by a car, you're damn right I would be calling a law enforcement agent. You're darn right I'd be calling the cops, because I'd be more concerned about him getting hit by a car in this erratic behavior. I would, on a human level, I would want to I would do it for an animal if I saw jetting across a freaking interstate. And this is their cousin. This is somebody that they've been speaking to on the phone, that they had some type of, relationship with. And they just allowed this kid just to, I can't. Stupidity.
Knife was involved. She asked if a deputy could do a wellness check and make sure that he's okay.
Exactly.
The dispatcher responds, you mentioned a possible altercation, but can you tell me again exactly what happened? She states, so I'm getting this from people who were there. He said they were in the car, and I guess they had given my son some weed, and my son doesn't normally do any drugs. I guess they had given him some weed, and then he started to freak out and said he wanted to get out of the car. And they were like, hey, just calm down, thinking maybe it was the drugs he was taking. They kept saying, calm down, and everything will be okay. And then I guess he got out of the car to go to the bathroom, and that's when I received the text saying, Mom, help, in that time frame, she said. And then he said that he continued to freak out and didn't know what was going on. They left him behind on I-75. Bridget is heading...
I don't know how somebody can do that. Like, I wouldn't do that to my worst enemy. If I saw, God forbid, I probably won't see him. I pray to God. But if I saw QB or even BT out there, almost getting hit by a car, I would render aid. I would be calling law enforcement. I would be trying to assist or help in some type of way, in whatever capacity I would be able to assist and help. I would never just turn my back and leave somebody, no matter what I say up here or whatever. In the reality, in the grand scheme of things, normal people just jump in. Normal people just help. They don't know. They don't even have the capacity to think of anger or frustration or anything. They just the people that are that go to the fire, and the people that run from the fire, and the people that go to, trust me, there's more than you, and you don't even know who you are until you're in a situation like that. You don't even know, are you a fight or flight person? I can guarantee you don't know whether you are a fight or flight person until you are in that situation. Because I tell you, there's been some times where I knew I should have run the opposite direction, and I didn't. And I don't know why I didn't. Because how stupid was that, right? So you really don't know who you are. You think that you would just, I'd die for cover. You think that until you see somebody in front of you struggling, or somebody, needing real assistance. And you'll be surprised at your body and how it just kind of propels you toward wherever you need to go. And that's when you know. Because in my opinion, a lot of this stuff is not, we don't consciously think it. It's subconscious. It's an action that we do under pressure. So, I don't know. I just don't see where marijuana would have done this. But, somebody said Synthetic stuff, we've heard about that. We've heard about other stuff being involved. These people are from MIMS. You don't know what they're doing out there in those backwoods, you know, with some of the stuff, where they got it, whatever the case may be. We don't know if they were coming out there to sell that to him and decided to do something and thought they were giving him, you know, a knockoff or the synthetic stuff and it'll be just the same, but it reacted in his body a lot different. We can look at those aspects of this case, but I still just don't see, you know, cannabis doing this to somebody. I mean, I've heard, I'll give you something I have heard, okay? Like, for example, I know somebody that when they smoke, it's not all the time, but when they smoke, they will dream of black cats. They will wake up in the middle of the night looking for a black cat that they don't own. So, and that's just traditional, you know, normal, run-of-the-mill, no additives added bud. And it's not all the time, but every now and again it does have a reaction when this person goes to sleep. Apparently they have a realistic dream of a black cat and think the black cat's in their home. So I've heard of kind of, you know, semi hallucinations from the use of marijuana. Very, very few, very, very, very uncommon. But it's not unheard of. Could that have been it? I just don't think that. I just don't think it is. I think there was another substance added because they're like, you know, I don't know, unless he was just completely inebriated and looked up and just didn't know where he was and was just confused. I don't know. I mean, can you smoke so much that you can be just yeah, I know, Jasper, the autopsy will tell that it sounds like, well, I'll let you guys keep hearing. He goes through some of the stuff. They've done the autopsy. It's not revealing anything. They've got to do the something else. I can't remember what they said they have to do, but I know one of them is the drug testing, you know, what this whatever's in his system. So that it ain't like alcohol. Yeah, I get it. In my opinion, I believe it was laced with fent or something like that. Yeah. Something. It's just, to me, it's something. This doesn't make sense. Let's keep going.
Northbound on I-75 to try to locate her son. A deputy responds to that area, but finds no pedestrian on the interstate. At 7:21, a truck driver who's checking the load on his truck, it's a sod truck, pulls off in that same area on the east side of I-75, northbound, sees the backpack, picks it up. He travels to Tampa with the backpack.
Yep, Lisa.
Bridget sees that the phone is moving, but does not know that it's a truck driver that actually has the bag and has the phone. She eventually calls Tampa PD, and an officer responds to the area where the truck driver was doing some work, recovers the cell phone and the bag. This is about 9:21 when TPD recovers the phone and the bag. At 9:28, Charlotte County Sheriff's Office opened a missing person case. And we also learned that Charlotte County reached out to Brevard County Sheriff's Office, and they were instrumental in interviewing all the passengers in the vehicle, and as this investigation unfolded. They voluntarily give Brevard County the vehicle, the white Malibu that they were in. Brevard County processes the vehicle and finds no foul play, no blood, nothing, no evidence whatsoever inside that vehicle. Charlotte County reaches out to us once again to check to see if Giovanni had been admitted to any hospitals or possibly was arrested. And there was no sign of Giovanni in our system. On Monday, August 4th, Charlotte County requests the assistance of the Manatee County Sheriff's Office as they search the area that the trail says they dropped off Giovanni on I-75. They do an extensive search east of the interstate in wooded areas on both sides of State Road 70 and find nothing. On Tuesday, August 5th, Charlotte County.
I do want to say this. I do want to make this statement for everybody out there, and this is in all fairness. Okay, I have high regard for my sheriff. I know that of all people, he's an action kind of sheriff. He likes results. I know him personally. I like his leadership here in my county. Okay, and I know that there were a lot of frustration that was exhibited by Giovanni's family, as if my sheriff's not doing enough, to advocate for their son, to do this, to do that. They are in an unimaginable position because, first of all, this child's not from here. They don't have any history of where this child may go, where he'd frequent, all these things that usually are the go-to spots when we have missing children or missing persons in this county. So you have an out-of-the-area person in the community. You've got 3 people that are all the way on the other side of the state trying to explain to our officers here where they dropped this guy off at. The officers took out helicopters, drones. They could not locate him. They were trying to locate based upon all of this being verbal, by the way. And they went out. They sent the sheriffs out. They did what they were supposed to do, but they came up empty-handed. Why? Because they didn't have all the details. Why? Because it sounds like these folks weren't providing them all the details, or themselves not being from the area may have been very, very confused at the very specific area that they dropped him. But I do know that my my sheriff here and the officers that work diligently and follow policies and procedures. I know that because they have to hear from people like me, which this is a very active county. I'm not the only activist in this county. We have a lot of activists in this county. And so he would be dealing with people like me. My sheriff likes people like me. He doesn't like dealing with people like me. And so I truly believe that they hold themselves to a higher standard because of how active we are. I might be deluded. I might be biased. This is my community. Do we do things perfectly? No, we don't. But I am going to stand up and speak of high regard when it comes to my sheriff here in this county, because I know how difficult this case has been for our community. I know how difficult this has been for the sheriffs running this, and I know how much flack, it comes from every family, because when it's your kid, nobody ever does enough. Okay, when it comes to your family, it's never enough. And that's why we have such a problem when we have somebody like Katie Proudfoot and Christopher Proudfoot saying, they're doing the best they can, they got to move on with other cases. Because in the reality of that, when it comes to our family, we're not like that. This sheriff could never do enough to satisfy that family. And I can tell you why, because they lost a loved one. They lost a loved one, and they need somebody to blame. And there is a lot of blame to go around here. The cousins left him. And let's not forget this. Our community, our sheriffs, and the sheriffs that have been active in this case did not do this to this family. Those cousins did this to that family. They should have never been, this is the first time that they're meeting this guy. They should never have been so adamant on utilizing substances. They should have hung out, got to know one another. But, kids are kids. And they do stupid crap, okay? They play stupid games and they get these stupid prizes. And we're sitting here trying to figure out what, heads or tails. And I understand that Giovanni's family's in a lot of pain, but I can guarantee you my sheriff worked his ass off, and the deputies in this county worked their ass off to find these answers. Thousands of hours going into reviewing these videos where you could hardly make out a darn thing, but they worked it, and they kept working it until they found answers. Now, I understand these answers probably aren't what the family wants to hear. Somebody did something, the way they're looking at it, somebody did something to their child. We're all feeling that for this family. I can promise you that. We're all feeling that for this family because we feel that they were screwed. But they weren't screwed by the sheriffs in this state. They were screwed by Giovanni's family. They should have never left him. They should have never put him in risk. And he did everything he could to get himself out of it. I just think he was so messed up from whatever they were doing. Whatever spooked him ended up making him lose his life, because I truly feel that he tripped when he was going down that embankment. He knocked himself out as he careened into that water, and I think he ended up unintentionally drowning himself. And I feel like it was at no fault of his own, because he didn't realize what they were providing him to utilize. Only they know. But the good news is, my sheriff has confirmed that they still had the roach that they were smoking on. So that has also been collected. I don't know if it's been tested. I think he said it has not, which I hope they do. But it's not in the possession of my sheriff. It's in the possession of the Brevard County Sheriff. So just thought I'd throw that out there. Again, when it comes to people that I know work their ass off, I'm going to go to bat for them, and I'm going to stand on that hill. And when it comes to my sheriff here, he did an amazing job. Listen to everything that he acquired related to this case to have finality, so we can at least know that this boy wasn't being hunted down and forced into this water. That is a weight lifted off of many of our shoulders when we're looking at cousins that could have potentially been responsible. Nobody wants to believe that. I'm sorry, I don't want to believe that. I don't want to cover that story. But unfortunately, we're still covering a horrible story of cousins being too dumb, with no common sense, and it cost a young man his life because of their stupidity. And that's the reality of this.
County comes back to Manatee County, along with a volunteer team that have good cadaver dogs. Also, the Charlotte County Aviation Unit was flying overhead. We had 3 of our detectives assisting them with searching the areas that they wanted to search that day. After about 4.5 hours, they told our detectives that they're not really sure that Giovanni is in this area. Now, why is that important? We know that he got out of the car on River Road before he got onto I-75. So as investigators, they're starting to think maybe he never made it to
I think
State
so,
Road
Raw.
70. Now, I can't speak for the Charlotte County detectives. I can't speak for Sheriff Permel. But they know the backpack was there, but there's no sighting of Giovanni in that area at this time. So Charlotte County is still searching, and they're searching hard in the area of River Road and I-75. But we know that that's not where he was at. On Friday, August 8th, at about 3:15 p.m., Manatee County Sheriff's Office receives a call about a body located in a pond right off of I-75 at the exit ramp to State Road 70. We learned that a friend of the family had been searching the area and had located the body. I sent my entire homicide team out there along with their sergeant, lieutenant, captain, and major to process this scene. The medical examiner investigator also responds to help with the processing of the body. We do a deep x-ray, a scan of the body. The ME does that night. There's no signs of any trauma to the body. There's no indication that he was shot. There's no indication that he was stabbed. There's nothing at that time that helps us determine cause of death. On Saturday, August 9th.
So we have nothing determining the cause. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Let me turn this up just a little bit. So we have nothing that can confirm the cause of death. You know, no gunshot wounds, no stabbing or sharp piercing type of wounds. It doesn't appear that he had wounds of an altercation like a fist fight or strangulation. So there was no wounds on his body. And to answer whether these people were older, I haven't heard their ages, but I do believe that the cousin was slightly older, maybe in the 20s. But I can't confirm that because I don't know. I can't remember. I do believe their ages were spoke of, but I don't know when. And Robin, you said, I thought he could swim. He may have been able to swim, but it sounds like he was very much erratic. That something was definitely going on in this young man's world. And it's possible because the way my sheriff describes that embankment is that it's very, very steep, and he can't assume what happened once Giovanni got off the camera. But it looked like he was having a hard time. He was almost sliding down the embankment. So I keep wondering, I know there's trees down there. I keep wondering if maybe he smacked his head or hit ended up rolling and hitting his head on the ground as he rolled into the water or something like that. But the one thing we do know is nobody was following him. Nobody was chasing him. Whatever happened to him in those final moments were done by his own hand. But again, we have to explain that because this is a young man that seemed, for all intents and purposes, a very healthy young man, healthy of body, mind, and soul. And when we hear that he leaves with cousins for the first time that he's never met before, and within a little while, he's begging for somebody to help him, and then he goes missing. Those are what we call very suspicious circumstances and a lot of red flags. Now that we're getting to the root of this situation and getting some more details of it, it is unfortunate to report that the cousins weren't chasing him. The cousins weren't beating on him. The cousins did not dump his body. Those realities have been resolved. They're not true. They don't hold water. So now we need to be looking at what happened to Giovanni and why in the world he wound up in that retention pond deceased. And I believe it still comes back to the cousins. I still think that they introduced something into his body he did not expect or want. And I think it was more than just marijuana based on these factors. Okay? We've got a lot of recovering addicts in this chat room. A lot of them. A lot of alcohol recovery as well. But the ones that are on substances, we know that, marijuana, it typically does, it could make you a little paranoid, but it typically doesn't make you have a mental breakdown. And so that's my problem here, is what we're seeing doesn't bode. I mean, it bodes with something else. We can all agree, especially the ones that have experiences in certain substances, we can confirm that it does appear to be a substance, but it just doesn't appear to be the marijuana substance or the cannabis type of substance. It seems something a little more is all I'm saying.
Detectives and crime scene techs go back out to the scene. They conduct another thorough investigation of the area, search of the area. Our drone unit also flew over the pond and the surrounding area, but didn't find anything of any value. On Sunday, the District 12 medical examiner performed an autopsy of the body. Preliminary indication was no signs of trauma or foul play, but the cause of death is still undetermined.
You guys, sorry, didn't mean to pop that up on you. So you guys heard that. They did the autopsy. So the autopsy has been completed. It is, the medical examiner did not find any manner of death that was noticeable during the autopsy. That means that the lungs were healthy, the kidneys were healthy, the liver was healthy, the heart was healthy, the brain was, everything weighed properly. There was no indications of a medical event on its face. They would have been able to determine petechia, in my opinion, at this point. And the if he drowned, in my opinion, he would still have some form of petechia. And I'm not hearing any of that in this analysis of his autopsy. So they haven't indicated it takes months or more. They did put a rush on it. Sheriff Wells did state that he put a rush on the toxicology, but it still doesn't mean that it's going to be right away. And you're right, it could take a little while for those toxicology reports. But again, you know, we're not out of the woodworks yet. I mean, just because he wasn't beaten, shot, or stabbed doesn't mean that there's not some type of culpability related to why he is where he is and what happened to him. So there could still be charges depending on what they did, because I'm sorry. See, they didn't say anything about the water in the lungs, and those things would have been visible on an autopsy, in my opinion. So they're saying that basically, let's just go back and listen to his words. Oops, wrong way. Let's go back and listen to his words here. Let's just go back a little bit. Where are we? We're at 5:10, so let's go back 20 seconds. Let's listen to what he has to say.
Of the area, search of the area. Our drone unit also flew over the pond and the surrounding area, but didn't find anything of any value. On Sunday, the District 12 medical examiner performed an autopsy of the body. Preliminary indication was no signs of trauma or foul play, but the cause of death is still undetermined.
No trauma or foul play. No trauma or foul play, but the toxicology still remains. So yeah, I guess, I'm sorry, but we know that autopsies would be able to determine if there was water in the lungs, and we're not hearing that. I still think that we also know that we have a badly decomposed body, so that also, then he didn't drown. I don't think that's interesting. You're right about that. And maybe that's why he's doubling down, saying, look, I'm not speculating on what happened from the time he got off the camera. Yeah, my brothers took a month, but we lived in a very small town. Gotcha. Yeah, don't forget, guys. Don't forget, we've got right now we have a goal going right now, and this is supposed to be a little fun. We are giving a hat giveaway away if we can meet our goal, and this is just 30 super chats. This doesn't have any nomination on it or anything like that, and I thought it would be fun if you guys showed some love to one another with some inspiring words. So, as you know, some super chats start out at 99 cents or $1.99. So if you guys are considering putting out some words of affirmation, some inspiring words that you guys could share with one another, I thought that would be fun as well. And if we reach the goal of 30, somebody will be a lucky recipient of a BHB hat. So just thought I would throw that out. I'm trying to do some fun things that'll help inspire you guys to do better and be better, and hopefully. Oh, thank you, Sonia. Thank you. And also, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button coming in or coming out. We do a lot of work. This stuff is not easy. Sometimes this work is very heart-wrenching, and we're going to be getting into the heart-wrenching stuff. This is not the show, folks. We're still on story 1. We've got 3 stories and 3 updates today that we need to go over. So anyways, if you guys would like to participate, I thought it would be fun. So let's get back to what my sheriff is saying about Giovanni Pelletier. Giovanni, allegedly the autopsy, we're very confused about the results of the autopsy because, as many people are stating in the chat, you know, the autopsy should have revealed if there was water in the lungs. If there was water in the lungs, my sheriff is withholding that information right now pending the full results. And maybe he's doing that so people don't get ahead of themselves. You know, I trust my sheriff. I know he follows policies and procedures, so he's only going to give us just what they're allowed to provide us.
On August 11th, my dive team goes back out to the pond to search it once again to make sure that we did not miss anything in the initial searches. They find nothing. we're trying to pinpoint exactly where Giovanni got out of the car. That's our main focus. My detectives reach out to Brevard County, who help us reach out to Giovanni's cousin.
Thank you, Melanie.
Jalen, Latrell, and Zach, and we request that they interview again with us. They do so freely. We respond to Brevard County, and we interviewed the three. They gave us the exact same story that they gave Brevard County. They also agreed to come back to Manatee County to help us pinpoint exactly where they pulled off the side of the road and where Giovanni got out of the car. So that brings us to today. We started reviewing all of the FDOT cameras in the area. This is complicated at times because these cameras, they will move at certain parts of the day. They're not always focused on one particular area. So we started to do our best to locate any movement whatsoever that would give us an indication that Giovanni was alive at that time. And we found Giovanni at about 2:18 a.m. on the night in question on I-75, and we want to show that video now.
Okay, here we go. Here we go. Hold on. Let me get this stuff off.
It's difficult to see at first, so bear with us.
Okay, I'm going to try to... thanks.
Yep.
Now this one here, it's going to be hard to see, but they're going to point it out, and you'll see just like this white shadow because he's wearing a white t-shirt. So let me try to get this up.
This is the 44th Avenue camera, located about 1.2 miles north of State Road 7.
I'm going to try to monitor this for you so I can show you guys where it's at. But you're going to be wanting to pay attention to this area right here. You guys see this? This area right here is where you're going to want to pay attention to, because you see him run across. So this is the area we're going to be looking into right here.
Right here, it's hard to tell, but you can see some movement over here.
Right here.
These are the southbound lanes. He's coming across right here. You see a truck having to get out of the way. He'll clear up a little bit here in a second. He has on a white shirt. You can see him coming across. Here's the truck trying to avoid hitting him.
Right there. And then you see...
You can point him out right here. He's coming eastbound. Now he's walking back westbound. And there's a concrete barrier right here. And down here is where the pond is. So then we continue to check cameras. And we get lucky at a Lowe's, which is located on the west side of State Road 70. We have a camera that's pointing at the embankment now that he comes down at 2:19 a.m. Play that, Ben. I want you to stay focused right here.
Yeah, you see it clear as day. You see it clear as day. It's sad. There it is, right there. You see him circled? There he is, right there. He's running.
Now that's a steep embankment.
That's a hugely steep embankment.
He's coming down there, almost an uncontrollable sprint. If you've ever gone down a hill, you know what I'm talking about. But the pond is right here at the edge of that embankment. I mean, the important thing that I want you to see, there's no one chasing him. There's no one.
Okay, sorry, let me scroll this down just a little bit for you guys so we can get it back on track here. But that's the point that my sheriff's trying to make, is that nobody is chasing this kid. Nobody is. He is, he's alone. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Love it, love it, love it. So you have to understand that he was let out of this car. This is what upsets me the most about this, is because his cousins truly did leave this poor man behind. They had they had complete disregard for his well-being and his life because he had an episode that they contributed to. That's what's pissing me off, because they can oh, thank you guys. Be kind to everyone. It will make somebody's day better, and it costs you nothing. Plus you will feel good when you're kind. Everyone wins. It does. It feels good to do good. Absolutely. Oh, thank you. Mantra quote: inhale love, exhale gratitude. Oh, I love that. I love that. That is great. We have to remember that. Inhale love, exhale gratitude. Sonia, I think we need a shirt. I think that's a great shirt. Inhale love, exhale gratitude. I love that. I love that. Great job. Great job. I love that. Absolutely love that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, now that we're learning, and of course they go into questions, Sheriff Wells is unable to explain. He can't give details out of this, this case. We're at a point now that they're going to have to go to the investigative, because still, you guys can all agree, it still doesn't appear that we have the truth. At least that's the way I feel. I don't feel that we have the truth. I still feel like there's something missing. Bring in the t-shirt maker. When I hear stuff that I love, I'm like, Sonia, you gotta make a shirt. But that is so, I love that. I just love that quote. Inhale love, exhale gratitude. It's just, I don't know. It's just coffee clubby. That's all. I love it. I love it. I'm going to give that one a prompt. Down in my ear. My ears are about to blow up. Do I have a volume button on here? Hold on a second. I think I do. I think I can turn it down on here, so it's not glaring in my ears. Well, I don't know. I guess we'll find out. All right, guys, thank you so much for allowing me to take you through this information. I know that we have been monitoring this information for a while. We wanted to know what happened. We don't have the answers yet. That's what I can tell you. We do not have the answers yet. We're getting there. Right now, we've been able to identify that the cousin's statement is mostly true. I know I'm on OBS now, so you're not going to be able to rewind the live until it ends. It's just, I don't know what OBS does to trigger our YouTube like it does, but it does. It's the program that we're now using. We're off of StreamYard. We're not using those systems anymore. This channel is literally built by the hands of Bullhorn Betty, and so is the studio. So I apologize about that, but you'll be able to do the replay on once we end the live. If there's some question you want to ask the chat. They're usually ultra helpful and tell you if you missed anything or you had a question about something. Oh, thank you. I love that. Smile and the world smiles back. I love these. I knew this would be fun. I love it. I love all the words of the positive affirmations, the good vibes, the juju that we need to get over this hump day. I am. Henry's up in here. I'm a love machine.
Bullshit detected. Take precautions.
Oh, good gracious. We're not doing the results yet. We're going into the next case as we speak. And the next case, oh, nope, I didn't pull it up. Why haven't I pulled it up? Hold on, I got to get Facebook up, because that's where it is. It's on Nick Barris. Surprisingly, Nick Barris has He scored a major interview, folks. Is Section 8 in Ohio after 2 years? I don't know, Dixie. I just, the information about the Section 8 we did at the beginning of this, actually, I think I got it up here. Do I have it up? I do not have it up. So I can't remember. I know that I read it off of an article. So if anybody has any questions, I do know that they are going to be reaching out to people, but I wanted to make sure everybody knew of these changes because it does affect people in my chat. It does affect people that people in my chat may know, however the case may be. So here we go, guys. This is Nick Barris. He had an exclusive interview. This is probably the video he dropped. He dropped an article first, and I'm going to try to find the article. But until the article comes out, let's just see what Nick Barris has to say here.
Yes, of 4 people is speaking out in his own defense. This is the first time we've heard from Austin Drummond. This after we spoke with him exclusively from his jail cell where he's being held in Obion County, Tennessee. Now, Drummond, of course, we all followed this story, was arrested on August 5th for quadruple murder over in Lake County. He was on the run for nearly a week, making national news and terrorizing communities in the northwest part of the state. Drummond right now locked up without bond, and prosecutors say they will be seeking the death penalty. But he says he did not kill the 4 victims. Drummond confirmed he did become a member of the Vice Lord gang during a prior prison stint. Once he got out, he said he was approached by prosecutors and then became a confidential informant for months, assisting authorities, including the FBI, undercover to help crack down on.
Does anybody believe that? I'm just curious to find out. I mean, I do kind of feel like maybe confidential informant. I don't understand how he was able to acquire the mass that he was able to acquire behind bars. And maybe this might answer some of those questions. I do not believe his story. I do not believe that he had, no part in this and this was his family and stuff like that. No. Okay. My audience is saying hell to the no. Okay. Just checking.
Drug smuggling into jails and prisons, helping to arrest dealers, crooked cops, and gang member leadership. Then in recent weeks, in late July, he says he was notified that his cover was blown. And then the 4 people were murdered and he ran.
But they found out I was an informant, and I didn't know why I was afraid because I knew bad things happened. And I was afraid that because I was an informant, things would go wrong. Things would happen to me.
Now, Drummond admits he did wrong by running, but he said he was simply scared. Now, he says he is innocent and had no reason to kill the 4 individuals, all of whom he said he considered to be family. Now, I did ask him, if not him, well, who did kill the 4 victims? I also asked him to explain the role the baby that was found left in that car seat alive in Dyer County played. Now, Drummond said at this point he's not really ready to answer any of those questions, but we are scheduled to talk again. We'll see what he says. Definitely he knows more. Whether or not you believe anything he says is a complete other matter. And I should say, I did speak with the district attorney who said that he is well aware of our conversation with Drummond. It is now recorded, and he said that is now part of the criminal case file. I'm going to have much more on this coming up at 6:30.
Say, once you talk.
Wow. They took those in. You know what? That's important. That's important. You know why that's important? Think of all the pieces of garbage parents that we've had come up here. I mean, I'm just, spitballing here, like hashtag Christopher Proudfoot, hashtag Katie Lynn Proudfoot, that decided to do their debuts on all these social media channels and kept saying inconsistent stories after inconsistent stories. Well, law enforcement takes those. They put them into the investigative file. And it still makes it even more hard to understand why Sumner County is so incompetent and ill-equipped for this type of case. But we keep having cases with similar details and stuff all over the country. And it seems like law enforcement all over the country can seem to put the case together. But Sumner County, Tennessee. We had a report. Did you guys see that report coming out saying Tennessee is by far one of the has a lot of crime in it? I can't remember I think they placed like 4th or 5th in the United States of high crime. That's sad. That's sad. And everybody keeps saying I'm picking on Tennessee. I have people that I love and respect in Tennessee. I have friends that live in Tennessee. And this is before any of the cases. This has nothing to even do with friends that I've acquired along this path of true crime. I'm talking about political people that I know there. I've been in the Tennessee. I always thought Tennessee was a great place until I got on this side of the talking points, until I started seeing their policies and how they're affecting their citizens. And then I'm like, oh, whoa. I was misguided for a really long time. Well, we're not misguided anymore. Tennessee needs a lot of help. Tennessee needs a lot of help. I do not believe Austin Drummond. A big shout out to Nick Barris. That was a great score. I don't really have, me and Nick Barris, we kind of have professional differences. I don't know the guy on a personal level. One nice thing I can say is I like the fact that it looks like he's upgraded to contacts, and this is the first time I didn't see him without his, notable glasses. So, kudos to him. I'm glad he was able to score this case, and I know that he's a great and tenacious investigative reporter. We didn't like his reporting on Sebastian Rogers' case for a few reasons. But for this case, I like his tenacity. I like the fact that he's able to go and ask those tough questions. I'm glad he reached out to law enforcement to let him know to be on the lookout for that conversation, because he would have had to use a in-house phone. And so those calls would have been recorded. Jacob, thank you for becoming a new subscriber to the Bullhorn Betty channel. But interesting. So what do we have to say about that? And that goes directly into our poll. If you guys don't know, we are polling right now, and it's, do you believe Austin Drummond's story? I would like to see people's polls. I've got to get into the back side of this so I can end it. I thought I had it up. Oh, I do have it up here. I can end it here. Hold on a second. I'm not sure if I can read it on here, though. No, it's not letting me. Okay, there it is. End poll. So we have 100. How many people do we have? We have 285 people in the chat right now, and we only have 178 votes. If you guys have not voted, at the very top of your screen, you should see where it says like a poll or a question. It should be like some type of ribbon up there. If you're on Samsung, it might be at the bottom of your screen if you're on your phones. And it says, do you believe Austin Drummond's story? Wait before selecting answer, because I wanted you guys to hear the story, from Nick Barris about how he's this confidential informant, that this was a hit on his family because his confidential status was discovered. So we have 281 people. We have about 292 votes in the chat right now. If we can get that up to about 200, we will go ahead and close out the poll. We need about 6 more pollers to go in there and poll. Again, the question is, do you believe Austin Drummond's story? And the story is that he was a confidential informant, exposed the high-level corruption inside the prisons and the drug, in addition to the drug trade, and his cover was blown. As part of his cover being blown, he took off, and the people executed his family as punishment. That doesn't really explain to us why he was held up in a mansion's pool. I mean, he looked like he was living the lap of luxury on this, home that was unoccupied because people were out of town and or on vacation. So that doesn't explain why he thought he was a pimp daddy living the big life. None of this makes sense. And why would he hide there instead of getting out of Dodge if he has the whole entire Vice Lords organization coming after him because his cover was blown? Doesn't make sense. Oh, thank you for becoming the newest member of the Coffee Club. I'm kind of, geez Louise, I lost my train of thought. I know I was supposed to say something. I got my button here and I do get my free padded room and straight jacket. You do, except I stumbled on it. Welcome to this crazy family we call the Coffee Club, i.e. the insane asylum. Grab your straight jacket and your padded room and welcome aboard. I know you've been around a while. You've been a part of the family. She's like, what do you mean, new? We've held conversations together, Betty. Of course we have. Drummond is evil. He is a punk. And he doesn't. And again, I'm going to keep saying it. I blame his parents. The first time he got in trouble, he was 12 years old. She said, fight me. 12 years old. What in the world is your 12-year-old child doing out there thugging it around at 12 years old? I'm sorry, I blame the parents. Parents have a lot of will over their child and the development of that child into an adult. A lot of there's a lot of great parents out there where their child just took the wrong path. And that is true. And there's no blame for the parents. They were good parents. They gave them a wholesome home, gave them everything that they needed. They weren't abusive. They were very supportive. And their children still went down a wrong avenue somewhere. We're not talking about those parents. We're talking about the parents that are always shoveling crap under the rug, not addressing their children's mental health or well-being. There is a reason Austin Drummond needed to feel big. There was a reason Austin Drummond needed to feel hard when he was 12 years old. There was a reason why Austin Drummond was doing those things. Was he abused? Was he in an abusive house? Was his father beating his mother? These are things. Was he being essayed by a friend of the family or family member? Okay, these things you have to ask because these are abnormal behaviors for a 12-year-old. And when you're dealing with a 12-year-old with abnormal behaviors, you've got to find the root cause of it because the root cause of it is usually staring you right in front of your face if you'd open your blessed eyes. But many people don't realize when their children start going into themselves and start acting out, especially around 12 and 13, they're screaming for help. Something is going on in their life that they can't come to their parents and say. And it's the responsibility of the parent to start looking at that child and saying, look, we love you, son. What's going on with you? Are you being hurt by somebody? Are you being abused? Are you scared to tell us something? Not beating around the bush. Is something going on with you? Oh, no? Okay, well, you take care. That's bullcrap. Your child is robbing stores and stealing and doing crazy stuff. There's something going on. What is making you? Are you on drugs? Are you should we be grounding you from people? What do you think we should? Bring them into the conversation. You'd be surprised. You get back what you give. So give away some love. Amen. Amen to that. Hey, Brenda, it's nice to see you, love. Cynthia, Strawberry. We have a son, took some wrong paths, was in county lockup for Christmas, asked for a radio through commissary, paid for a toothbrush, toothpaste instead, no bail/bond. Yeah. We need more parents that are holding their children accountable because they're being taught by society, by our news, that it's okay that if you commit crimes, you're going to get off scot-free or get low bail or not have any accountability. We need to change that, and we need to hold our own children accountable because what are they going to be like? We don't want our children in prison for the rest of their life. Do we? I mean, that's not what our goal is when we have children, is to make sure that they're in prison for the rest of their life. It's to have a wonderful life that we never had. So, are you a closet donkey? Are you asking me, VA? I think you already know the answer to that. I'm not a closet anything. I'm just a plain old donkey, okay? I'll own it. I'm an ass, okay? 99.9% of the time, Bullhorn Betty is an ass. There's no closet, and I flaunt it. I flaunt it. Not necessarily my brother. Was just like Austin. Hold on, let me go back up. He skipped the U.S. for another country when he was supposed to get in trouble. I'll never talk to him. Yeah, and that's it. These people that do horrible things and don't have accountability, they come accustomed to not having accountability. As soon as they have accountability, it's pretty crazy how crazy what? I gotta do what? I mean, you see a woman, she thought she was going to get 6 months in jail for, booty bopping with somebody, and she ends up getting 10 years or something like that, and she's looking at her attorney, what? It's like, yeah, you finally has to deal with the accountability of your actions. It's just, it's mind-racking. I don't break the law because I don't want to deal with the freaking consequences. Do you think I don't want to go up and punch one of these people in the face? Of course, we all have those feelings, but we don't act on them. Why? Because we know the consequences. So, Austin Drummond, I just don't believe him. I really don't. I don't believe what he's saying to be true. I think that this was his in to the Vice Lords. You always have to get your bones. I think his bones were supposed to be in the jail, but he didn't quite make it because they ended up catching him. They ended up catching him with the firearm, and they ended up getting him with attempted murder. I think that was his bones. And since he didn't acquire his bones that way, he had to have a sacrificial lamb. And in my case, this four sacrificial lambs, and still doesn't want to talk about the child. So it does sound like they did drop the child. I was wondering, but it also sounds like somebody was driving the white vehicle too. It sounds like all those vehicles were taken out there. Now we kind of understand why the other people were accessories after the fact. There is no way all these vehicles could have gotten out there in that wooded area in Lake County, Tennessee, without a number of people driving them. Okay? Because it would have been too obvious if Drummond did all this himself. He drove one car out there with bodies in it, got an Uber, had the Uber pick him up, take him back to the other car, get the other car, drive it out there, get the Uber, go back, and it just doesn't make sense. So now we're kind of seeing that these cars were dumped. It sounds like the bodies might have been in the cars. I haven't even heard that. I thought they were in a house. I thought there was a house out there, but the more I'm reading into this, it sounds like they were discovered with the cars. And when I keep reading that, I'm starting to believe they were in the cars. Yeah, we're about to get into that, into Jake and all that. So, I don't know. I guess we'll let this play out, but it sounds like Austin Drummond's got a plan B, and the plan B is the Vice Lords. It's all the Vice Lords. The Vice Lords, turned against him, and the Vice Lords executed this family as retaliation for him being an informant. That's what he's saying. That's his story. He's bringing in the FBI. So I'm having to think he's had some contact with the FBI. He might have been some type of an informant at some point. People don't wield those types of things around. Is that Turkey Man? Well, I didn't even see him come in. Where is he? Oh, there he is. Well, good day, sir. I hope you are doing very, very well. Yes, there you are. Check out number 22. Yes. The Lord used a donkey. I think they were referring to me. I think VA was referring to me, Turkey Man. I don't know what he was referring to. What is a Vice Lord? It's a gang. It's apparently a gang. From my understanding, a predominantly black gang, a prison gang. So it looks like, and we know about this, when you go into prison for a lengthy amount of time, you got to make decisions there. I've never been there. I'm just telling you what I've heard. It's not what I've learned. It's not my experiences or anything like that. It's just rumors. I think we've all heard it. When you go into prison for a significant time, you got to make your choices. Some come out with gang tattoos from blacks, some from the Hispanic gangs, and some from the white gangs. When you go in, you got to find your allegiance and the people that are going to protect you for your time in there. You're in there with violent criminals, okay? You don't want to be in with a whole bunch of violent criminals and not have any protection. Is he in protective custody? I believe he has to be in protective custody for this, because they got to make sure he's good to go to trial. And usually when you have something this high profile and with this many bodies, they're not going to allow you into general population. It's very uncommon in my experience, but I could be wrong. Common Sense says the Vice Lords are from Chicago. I don't know. I know nothing about them. The little bit I've learned is that it's a predominantly black gang and well known in prisons, and that's as much information as I know about them. So, yeah, I think he was trying to get his bones for the Vice Lords. You know, he's been talking this mad game in prison for so long. He probably showed his allegiance while being in prison, and he had to, show that he was a gangbanger like them. And usually it's a brutal entry into those gangs. Usually somebody out there, some unknown person, either known to them or unknown to them, usually loses their life for these people to get into these gangs. Especially to have the tag of enforcer. You need to make sure that whenever you call these people, they can go and do the dirty, They can go and do the dirty. And I think this was his, and everything kind of blew up on him. They knew who he was right away. He thought they were soft targets and he would not be most likely responsible, or, they wouldn't think anything about this man. Something happened. So Austin Drummond, he's going to be in prison for a really long time. I don't see this going away for him at all. Last night, we finally heard from the new attorney for Jake. He has made it. This is the guy. Is it this way? Over here? That way? All the way to the end. The guy in the burgundy suit. We just heard from him. I don't like that women and kids harm me. I know. It's hard. This whole case in Lake Tennessee is just hard for everybody, because you've got a young mom and dad that are gone, never get to see their baby. Their baby, thank God, is untouched and unharmed. And but that child is going to have lifelong scars that will never be visible to anyone, that child's going to have to find a way to work through. And that child won't even have that opportunity until the child's brain develops enough that they learn what happened. And when they learn what happened, it usually has a very hard effect on the children. And without the proper resources and the proper support system, this child could very well be screwed for the rest of her life. And that's sad, because Wesleyan deserved everything, and her parents were trying really, really hard. And I heard somebody saying in the chat earlier, is it possible? Yeah, he is. He should be scared. He's been screwing around for his entire life. He spent the majority of his life in jail. And the minute he finally gets freedom, he takes somebody else's life away from them, and then basically takes his own life. People are stupid. I'm sorry. I'm not executing or hurting anybody or wanting death upon anybody unless they brutalize my family. That's the only time I'm going to put my neck out there where I'm going to be in jeopardy of losing my freedom. It's going to be something worth fighting for, dying for, and going to prison for. I can tell you that. It's not going to be for some dumb stuff. You have to brutalize my family to ever get me in that mindset where I'm willing to go to jail for the rest of my life. But I can tell you, it's not going to be over some petty crap. It's going to be over my family and things that matter to me. That is the only time you get that beast out of me. So I don't know why these young people are willing to throw their lives away over, oh, he disrespected me. So what? Look how much you just disrespected yourself. Like, you're never going to have sex again. You're never going to get married. You're never going to have a house. You're never going... Over what? Words? It's the street life. Well, it's a pretty stupid life. You're ignorant, you're dumb, and you need to pull your head out of your butt. You need to pull your head out of your butt. Because words, you're willing to get DP and spend the rest of your life for words? You're such a coward that words hurt your feelings that bad? And you think it's hard to go and stand up? Like, you know what? I think you're stupid. For all you gangbangers out there, oh my God, they said something that hurt my feelings. Well, aren't you a big boy? What? You can't tell somebody to go F off? Oh my God, they said, I didn't know what I was doing. Well, yeah, it looks like you don't if you're willing to put your life on the line because that you're willing to execute this person over that word. Look at those people, in Cincinnati. They're going to jail. Maybe somebody said something derogatory, maybe they didn't, but that's a really poor reason to go to jail for 10 to 20 years, don't you think? When you could have just rose above it and just kept on moving on and had dignity and respect for yourself? Just doesn't make any sense to me. This stuff doesn't make sense to me. I think that's what entertains us and what causes us to draw into these cases, because we're like, who would do that? An idiot. These people are messed up. But let's listen to what their attorney said first. We have more. Suck it up, Buttercup. Yep, there it is. There it is. Suck it up, Buttercup. I'm not going to prison because somebody doesn't like me or said something horrible or disrespected me. Okay? I'm sorry. I'm just not, it's not worth my time. It's not worth my freedom. But we got knuckleheads out there that think their reputation's more than anything. You know what a reputation is? A reputation is being able to show that you lead from a place of strength, that you can say, that's what you think of me. Well, you don't want to know what I think about you, but I'm not carrying a gat and the minute somebody says, oh my God, we don't like Bullhorn Betty, F Bullhorn Betty, poo poo poo. Like, what? It's stupid. Stupid. We all can say it's stupid. Okay, so now we're going on to the little 7-month-old baby where we don't believe the parents. The attorney's going to give us a whole bunch of bleeding heart BS. Oh, thank you. I'm a love machine.
Nice try, but you're a liar, 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 liar. Nice try, but you're a liar.
All right, let's listen to what it says. This is not a laughing matter and not a love machine post, but kind of like the 17-year-old in Texas that stabbed and unalived another 17-year-old at a track meet in April. Yeah, exactly like that. Exactly like that. You know, that kid's but you know what? He helped his family. Why his family's living in a mansion now? His family took all the money for his defense and spent it on themselves like smart, responsible parents. And I hope they lose it all. I hope they lose it all. They gain that off the back of their son doing something brutal to another person. I hope they lose it all. And trust me, I'm going to be there when they're bankrupt and I'm going to laugh in their face. Because they're pieces of garbage. Pieces of garbage. His whole family. They stood right beside and act like their son did nothing wrong. He took a life. Why was there even a knife at a track meet? The parents should be in jail for giving him a dangerous weapon. That's what we need to start doing. You know what? These parents and these thugs will not stop until their parents are held accountable. And when the child becomes too much, then they need to find some other place. Put them in a state program. I don't know. It's not my problem. I didn't give birth to these children. It's not anybody in my room, in the chat room's problem. We didn't give birth to these thugs. It's the parents that create them. It's their problem. And we need to start holding them accountable, not rewarding them with freaking mansions and brand new cars. That's disgusting. It's sick. It's un-American. Is that American? All right, let's get back to the 7-month-old. Let's listen to the attorney shame the entire world because their client, his client, lies through his teeth, likes to beat on 10-week-old children, and just a real low-life piece of crap that likes to drag the women into their abuse and tries to hold that over their head like he's doing for Rebecca right now, saying, "Look what I did to Vanessa. You better back me up on this, or you're gonna go down with me. You're gonna go down with me because you sat there and watched me do this, and you didn't do nothing. You're just as culpable." In many of our eyes, we would say yes. And many people do. And I'm going to be reading some emails of people, my audience, keeping me in check. And while we can have some compassion for this lady, we can also be very angry and hold her accountable. And I think that's where we're going to have to stand on this, despite my personality, despite the fact that I have, I feel bad for this lady. I can feel bad for her situation, and still hold her accountable for her part in all of this. She could have saved her son, and she chose not to, out of fear or whatever. It's still a choice, and I have to remember that. It's still a choice. And she made a choice. And it was the wrong choice. And we can't stand behind somebody that makes a terrible decision and that resulted in the brutal death of their 7-month-old child. I know we are not there yet. We don't have any public confirmation that that's what's happened to this child. I understand that. But we know that it will be ultimately the case. Because we've seen this before. We've seen the same song and dance before. This is nothing new for us. This is nothing new for us. Okay? We've seen this before. And now we just need to let it play out. So this attorney, ironically, and if you guys were watching last night, you guys will know, he only represents Jake. And we couldn't figure out, I even cracked a joke saying, would you really use the same attorney where you were convicted? But then we realized the details of the case. We realized how much this attorney did help him, even with his conviction, because he got him a sweetheart deal. Sweetheart deal. That's why he's using him again. I don't think he's going to be able to get a sweetheart deal. I don't think, because the true crime community is now involved. And people don't understand what that means. They're like, oh, so what? You advocate for kids? No, what people don't understand with the true crime community, we keep law enforcement, politicians, judges, and the system in check when doing these cases. We make sure that the defendant gets the best possible defense. You guys don't understand what the true crime community truly does. We help limit the possibility of appeals because we've got the case so high up on the totem pole that they're going to give them the best of the best public defense. It sounds like this guy is going to be paying for his public defense, but they're screaming that they don't have money. And I can tell you, homicide cases or cases like this are in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars. So at some point, he's going to be too broke, but because this attorney's already involved, they're most likely going to keep this attorney retained for him at the expense of the public. And I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that. But that's typically what happens. They're not going to, in a case like this that has the notoriety it does, when he runs out of money, they're not going to force him to be with a different attorney. Typically, they don't do that. And I think the reason why they don't do that is I think it could go to an appellate issue. And we don't want, one of the things is we want to make sure we limit the amount of appeals once these people are convicted. So I'm just curious as to why Jake needs this representation if he had no part in this. It's because the details that we're speaking and we have assumed, our theories, are holding water. So our theories aren't really as much theories anymore as we honed in on some factual information. This man's previous background with abuse of children are going to be very, very, very difficult to overcome. So if you weren't with me last night, I want to make sure that you guys get an opportunity to watch the very first one. If you guys have already seen it and you don't want to watch it again, now would be a great time for you to get up and get yourself a beverage, go to the bathroom, get yourself a little snack or something like that, while the people in the chat that would like to see the original one, we're going to go over to the most updated one that dropped last night, and we get to hear a little more detail. And this is where Ashley Banfield really shines, because she asked the tough questions. Ashley Banfield had this man on here. She asked the tough questions. She had a respectful, but a little, you could feel a little heat in there. It was getting hot in there, okay? So we're going to get on to that next after this clip here.
Father's attorney, who says that's anything but the case. He says they've turned over their phones, laptops, passwords, and claims the sheriff's department should be doing more.
Doesn't seem law enforcement is doing anything to find this child.
Doesn't seem law enforcement is doing anything to find this child. Let's fact check that for a second. Because we were out there from the internet. Oh, thank you, Lisa. I'm a love machine. Stay the course God gives you. Stay the course God gives you, thankfully. Amen. So at first, you were convicted of first degree, then retried, and they convicted you of manslaughter? That's interesting. Thank you for the super chat. Ellie is doing everything in this case. Exactly. And let's go back to that. He's saying it doesn't appear that law enforcement is doing everything that they can to find this child. Well, the mother called law enforcement immediately from the Big Five. And I saw, there were photos out there. There were cameras out there. I absolutely saw a lot of police presence out there and canines on leashes walking around the parking lot. We heard that drones were deployed. We heard that there was a helicopter. We heard that they could not find a scent of a third party or even this child. And maybe it had something to do with nobody else was, had followed her into the parking lot. We're going to get to how do I know that? We're going to get to that statement here in just a second. Thank you, Laurie Wynn. I know why she did it. She just wanted me to hear me say, I'm a love machine. I'm a love machine. Well, I'm glad the system works. Some of the system works for people, and I truly believe if you are innocent, over time, I don't think we make the type of mistakes we made back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. They had no technology. They had blood type testing. And if you had the blood type and you were in the area, you were convicted, okay? So I think, we have to remove, are there people this day and age convicted? All the ones that I'm seeing get off for these, not being the person, have happened many, many, many years ago. But there are, we've got somebody in here, I don't know who he is, or, we never know who these people are in our chat, but is expressing that they've went through the system, were found, retried, and then exonerated. So, then the system worked. That's what I'm trying to point out. If everything that was said is accurate, then the system worked out. It's not a perfect system, but it is designed that if it's imperfect, there is a way out. And it sounds like at least somebody, I was in prison in Tennessee with Austin on the same unit for a year. Well, Jacob Slatter, if you want to, I'd like to, if that is true, I'd have to confirm who you are if you don't mind, but privately, not here through my chat. But if you would like to speak to me a little more or give me some details, or maybe I can bring you on the show at a later time if you're willing to speak. You don't have to be on camera like me. We can always take you and give you an emoji over you. If you'd be willing to speak to me about it, you can reach out to me at bullhornbetty@gmail.com, and it's just like my name here in pink, right under here. Bullhorn Betty, and it's just with the @ gmail.com, and that would be great. Again, I got to confirm who you are behind the scenes. I keep you guys confidential unless you guys want to come up. So anything that I do have to review would be confidential just between me and you. And I'm happy to sign something related to that fact as well. But I would like to interview you. There it is. There's my Gmail right there. So if you could reach out to me, I'm definitely open to speaking. I'd like to know a little more, especially about Austin and this case, because I just don't believe him. I really don't. My boyfriend got a DUI for sitting in a parked car, not for doing anything wrong in Florida. Florida sucks when it comes to that, because our laws here are so strict. If you're under the influence of alcohol and you're in the driver's seat of that vehicle, they look at that as an attempt to drive. And if those keys are in the ignition, you're done. You're done as if you were driving the car. So if you are intoxicated and say you're sitting in the car for air conditioning, you can crank the car up and you could turn the air conditioning on, but you need to move your butt from that driver's seat over to that passenger seat. That is the only thing in Florida that will help you if you're intoxicated and in a car. Don't be behind that driver's seat. I don't care. Be laying down in the passenger seat. Be in the passenger seat in the front. I don't care where you are, but do not be in that driver's seat. It doesn't matter whether that car's in motion or not. That's just the way we are here in Florida. We don't play. We've got a lot of mad mothers here, so they keep our government in check. I disagree with it. I think that there needs to be accountability, but for somebody not to have any injury to property or beings and have their whole entire life ripped from them for a ticketable offense, a misdemeanor, I find that just, I'm sorry, it's overboard. I think it's overboard. I will always say that it's overboard. I think that we have laws in place. If you hit somebody in your car, you drive away from that car, it's just like an accident with injuries and you're intoxicated. We have a lot of rules that hold people that just don't do, just driving under the influence, that are pulled over, that cause no damage or anything. And they say that it's because, well, if they got caught this time, it's been 100. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The punishment has to match the crime. And I am a stickler for law and order. And if I'm a stickler for law and order, that means I want people accountable for their wrongdoing within limits. And I understand that there's a lot of mad mothers, and maybe somebody's in here that's a mad mom and say, Betty, no. I get it. And I understand your position, but I'm a law and order person. And I also believe that our statutes prevent those types of laws from existing, because we have a law, most states do, that the punishment cannot outweigh the crime. And I'm sorry, it's a ticket. You got a ticket. You didn't hurt somebody. You didn't injure any cars. If you could have in the future, they cannot charge you for what could be in the future, a hypothetical. They have to charge you for the crime, and that's not what they're doing with these DUIs. And I'm absolutely opposed. Many of you guys know I've had DUIs in the past. I walked through the walk and everything like that. I survived. I don't drink. I don't party. I don't utilize substances. I utilize vitamins, caffeine, and other natural stuff to keep me amped up 24/7. And I'm a loudmouth. I don't need that. But I'm also fair enough to say that, yeah, I did that. Did I think it was fair? I went through the process. I did what I did. It didn't kill my life. But $10,000 for a low-level misdemeanor, that is that's excessive to me. That is excessive. And they have to bring those costs down for the people. I'm sorry. They just have to. We want them to be held accountable within reason. It has become a money-making scheme, and I'm tired of it. When I start seeing laws being abused for profit, I have a problem with it. And our laws related to DUIs is a profit-making scheme. It hasn't prevented DUIs. It hasn't prevented DUI deaths. It hasn't done anything to move the needle. The same amount of people that are dying back then when these laws came up are still the same amount of people, if not more, this day and age. It's done nothing to move the needle. If we're going to do something, I want it effective. Why are we not putting as part of the punishment for some of these people to go work in nursing homes that are taking care of people that were injured from drunk drivers? Why aren't we doing things like that that really have life-changing mechanisms associated with it to help? But I digress. That's not where we are. We're back on a 7-month-old child that it appears both parents are lying about what happened to. And this attorney is saying that law enforcement is doing nothing. We can say this attorney is not being truthful. Why? Because we've witnessed what the attorneys were or what the law enforcement is doing. We even have Ahmed out there, which I found out that Ahmed, we should be praying over him. He's fighting cancer right now. So he's going for treatment while he's advocating for the 7-month-old child. And kudos to him. And we're going to play some of his stuff because he has some breaking news information you guys are going to want to hear. So let me get back to this. This is old news that I'm playing right now. We're going to get into the new news right after this.
He's holed up in his house with his family because they are not getting the support that they need. They have people trampling on their property. They have death threats being made. All of the reports I'm seeing on social media that Jake and his wife are running, have fled the country, have fled the jurisdiction, they're at their home. They're at their home, holed up, scared for their own safety, grieving for their son. I have personally spent time with Jake and have seen the emotions in his face. He is not in any way running, hiding, or doing anything to exhibit any behaviors of somebody that is trying to be deceptive in this case.
Says the man that represented him when he beat the crap out of a 10-week-old child. And those are the charges right there. It's hard for me to watch this guy. But let me go over here to Ashley Banfield, okay? I think Ashley Banfield kind of gave him a run for his money, really kind of put him in check, in my opinion. It was she was very respectful, and so was he, okay? The one reason why you have attorneys is because you don't want to be emotionally involved. When you are your own attorney, like I am, you are your own client. You have a fool for a client. Okay, we all know that. You know why? It's because of the emotions. You want to keep the emotions out. And the only people that kind of check these emotions are your attorney, because they don't really have a dog in the fight. Their requirement is to represent you. And you should be very cautious with what you share with your attorney, because they are bound by laws. In a situation where there's a homicide, my recommendation is, if you're behind bars for a homicide, even when your attorney asks you what happened, tell them that you don't want to answer anything until you get to see the evidence against you. Okay? Because in all honesty, if you're in this, you'd rather them figure out your path forward instead of opening your mouth and limiting that path forward, because you might say something to an attorney and they can now not look at this path for a challenge of the crime because you said XYZ, and now by law they are excluded from using that, because they would technically put themselves in a perjury type of situation, and they can't do that. Your attorney cannot do that. Your attorney has to represent you ethically and lawfully. They cannot do things that go against their license that could jeopardize their license. And so this guy, he has a tough situation because he's already represented him once before. So he's got in his mind, that case has nothing. In our mind, that case has everything to do with this case. But in his mind, that case is irrelevant. That case is prejudicial. And honestly, that case may never even come into trial, even though it's relevant information, but it could be too prejudicial. It could be found to be too prejudicial to even when this guy's arrested and goes before the courts for Emmanuel, they're never going to even be able to present that this has happened before with a 10-week-old. They might be able to through some, but you got 403 and 403B. Does the probative value outweigh the prejudice? And those are going to have to be gauged. So what do you do? What do you do? There's not a whole lot you can do but sit and wait. We know that it exists. Us as the public knows that it exists. But you have to remember, when a jury on a jury stand goes, they most likely have never seen this case before, because those are the people they're looking for. The ones that are working all the time, that haven't had time to engage in the news, that doesn't watch the news, that is very unfamiliar about this case. Those are the people that they're going to want on that jury. So even though we know of this abuse, they may never get an opportunity to hear it. That's sad. And a miscarriage of justice in part. I'm hoping that they'll be able to get it in due to past behavior and the fact that this is a pattern. I think that it just show a pattern, and that might be the way they get it in. But even with that, it still might be too prejudicial when they do the test, that it could be tossed, even with it having the need to show this pattern. I'm concerned. It's not the first time we heard about it. I mean, look at that lady, that grandmother that left her child in a hot car. We did not even know, because the parents were not allowed to even say publicly that it had happened once before with another one of their children. That never got brought into that trial here in Florida because it was too prejudicial. But the jury still got it right and still held the grandmother accountable for the manslaughter or whatever charge she ended up getting. And I think she's in jail for 15 to 20 years as a result of it. But how insane was it that they couldn't even bring that she had done this before? She had did this before, and they excluded that. Betty is speaking, explaining this. This is, okay, what is this, Maggie? Getting way too far. Oh, wait, that's okay. I'm speaking of my opinion. You've been here before. You should know this. All right, so let's go ahead and get started.
Who has represented Jake Haro in past cases and is speaking on Jake's behalf today. Hey, Vincent, thank you for doing this today. Big question. Why have Rebecca and Jake stopped cooperating with the police if they're desperate to find the baby and the police are looking for the baby?
Now, you will notice that he referred to, if you looked at his eyes before it went to this screen right here, you would have seen he looked over at a second screen. So he already preempted questions that may have been asked to him at this this interview. And so he looks like he's already got some notes there as far as what he's going to respond as. So she asked him a question, and while she was finishing up that question, I saw him reviewing something. So I believe he's got some notes to help guide him so he doesn't and this is something that you have to be cautious of when you're an attorney and you're going into the public light. You can't, if you say the wrong thing, it could prejudice your client. If you say the wrong thing, it could cause malpractice for you. So he's got to be very, very skillful in how he answers these questions, especially in lack of not having any type of discovery. Is the statements that he's saying now going to hinder his client down the road? So usually they use boilerplate responses. They use very vague language, and it kind of keeps them him out of that area of problems that may arise later down the road. So let's listen to how he responds to that question.
I don't know where the statement that they stopped cooperating came from, Ashley. I spoke to the detectives yesterday, offered for Jake to continue to speak with them, have not been made aware of any requests today to speak with Jake. I don't represent Rebecca. That needs to be very clear, but I have not been asked to.
Do we find it odd that he doesn't represent Rebecca? Why isn't he it seems to me that they know at this point, because law enforcement doesn't lie. If they're looking at you, they're going to tell you they're looking at you. If they anticipate arrests, they usually tell you to stick around. You know, we're going to be working on an arrest warrant. We may be by to pick you up in a couple days. Or would you like us to reach out to your attorney to have you turn yourself in? You know, some of those conversations, it's not secret typically when you're dealing with stuff like this. It's usually anticipated, and the people that are being in a situation like this, they pretty much know that they're about to be they're under scrutiny, and they may very well be arrested. So I think the reason why they don't, just my personal opinion, I may be off base here, but I believe the reason why he's not representing both of them is because they're both most likely going to be charged, and she needs her own separate representation. And since he represented Jake in the past for another crime similar to this, it sounds like he has been, representing Jake. Why he's coming out here as opposed to Rebecca's attorney coming out, it's a little unclear. It seems to me that Rebecca's attorney would have wanted to get out in front of this case before Jake did, because she's the one under the most scrutiny, because she's the one that reported the child abducted, and she came up with this massive account of being beaten out in the parking lot and knocked out, and she doesn't know how long she was knocked out for, and when she awoke, she got off the floor and her baby was gone, and she frantically goes screaming into the Big Five for help if anybody's seen her child, putting on this orchestration. You would think that her attorney would have wanted to come out public, but it sounds to me like Jake is throwing Rebecca under the bus. Him and his attorney are trying to get out in front of this so they can hold Rebecca under control. I'm sorry, guys. I really think there's something more here that we really need to be looking at with Rebecca. She's going to get a shitty shake at this, and she most likely didn't even harm her child. She probably put herself in between him and her child, but he knocked her out and did something to the child. We don't know what happened inside that house, and no matter how we look at it, she was a part of it. She's kept on this lie. She has made this situation a lot worse than it should have ever been. She should have come clean for the sake of her son. She chose not to. Now she put herself in this situation, and this man that has no respect for her or her children has his attorney out here basically throwing her under the bus, because darn well he made perfectly clear, I don't represent Rebecca, I only represent him, and he's got nothing to do. They've been cooperative. I thought you said you couldn't speak on behalf of her, but you're incorporating her in your discussions when you only represent him. So I feel like if Rebecca does have an attorney, she better get her attorney out here and start covering her six, because Jake is going to throw her under the bus, and if he can pin everything on Rebecca, he will. Rebecca, you are in danger, girl. You better smarten up. You better smarten up. This man ain't for you, and he is not doing anything to help you out whatsoever. He is helping himself, and it's going to be at your peril. Let's keep going.
To produce Jake. I offered to produce Jake. They voluntarily turned over all of their electronic devices including the passwords. I think that's something that's huge that nobody has been made aware of.
Let me just stop you for 1 second. I don't want to interrupt you, but you just said you don't know where the statement came from, Mr. Hughes. I'm going to read you the statement the police sent to us. Investigators interviewed multiple individuals, including Emmanuel's parents, Jake and Rebecca Haro. During those interviews, Rebecca was confronted with inconsistencies in her initial statement and declined to continue with the interview. So the statement came from the police themselves.
And I can't speak to the statement that was sent to you. I can tell you, I have personal knowledge. I reached out to the assigned detective and made Jake available. Jake wants to cooperate. Jake doesn't like the fact that nobody's listening. Court of public opinion is already out. Even yourself, it sounds like you guys already have your mind made up. Jake has voluntarily provided.
Okay. Well, maybe, I didn't think of this at the time. Maybe Ashley should have said, well, why were they, the camera footage deleted? Why would anybody go into the cloud and delete camera footage from around their house? I would have loved to have heard the answer to that. Like, love. Huh.
The electronic devices that there was a search warrant for, including the passwords. The vehicle that you were saying is breaking news that you brought up at the beginning of this broadcast is not something that is new. They haven't had their vehicle since Thursday night when this alleged kidnapping happened. So it's not new that you're saying at the beginning of this broadcast that it's new information. The vehicle is gone and make it sound like they just took...
Whoa! Law enforcement didn't believe them Thursday evening. Took the vehicle in, probably because that's where it happened at. And they were probably trying to determine whether that guy had touched it. They took it from the Big 5 parking lot. I bet you anything, when they could not find the scent, they because Sebastian Rogers' case was so notable. I bet you, come on, baby. There you go. I bet you anything. Sounds like the attorney knows he took losing. Yeah. Well, he took another losing case too, but he got him a sweetheart deal. I don't think they're trying to get off. I think what they're trying to do is use somebody that has the ability to get him a deal. I think that's what they're going to be looking for. No, they took Jake's vehicle. Do they have different vehicles? Is there two different vehicles, Blanc? Because they're acting like they're broke. They're acting like they're broke, and they're acting like they only have one vehicle. Do they have multiple vehicles? Because he's talking only about a truck, and I don't know if that is an SUV. Some people call it a truck and SUV. Need a ride? Get an Uber. Yeah, absolutely. Do we have trolls in here? Do we have trolls?
Sneaky gremlins love to fight, but we're here to set it right. Jump and duck, let's take a shot, turning trolls into what they're not. Whack a troll, whack a troll, let 'em tumble, let 'em roll. Swing your spatula or a stick, whack 'em fast, whack 'em quick.
All right. There you are. We do appreciate our Bullhorn Betty trolls. We even made a song for you. But we're still gonna whack you. We're gonna whack you fast. We're gonna whack you quick. All right. So let's keep going. Let's keep listening to this. But now we're finding out that the car was taken. At least a car. We don't know how many vehicles they have. I believe that there's some type of other unknown business being conducted out of this home. There's just something that's been gnawing at me that says there's more to the story than we know. And I think because of the firearm arrest in 2024, which is what I believe is leading to the probation violation for Jake, Might have to be with, maybe some type of business, an illicit or illegal business that they are doing. Too many cameras around that house for my comfort. And that might go into the abusive nature, him wanting to monitor his wife and his kids while he's gone. He's an abuser. We know the type of man he is. So we have to apply all those metrics to this case. Could those cameras be just to monitor his wife because he thinks his wife is cheating on him? Most abusers use that for a reason to beat their women that aren't even cheating. But we do have, these cameras that somebody went into the cloud and completely deleted. That doesn't sound like innocent people to me. It sounds like they would have wanted law enforcement to see that, to show them they had nothing to do with it. So we know it's a lie. We know she got her black eye on the 3rd. We know that the child was not at the funeral on the 5th, 2 days later. So we believe that this child was murdered by Jake all the way back on August 3rd to 4th. That's where my mentality is, and I believe that Jake is the one that murdered this child. And I'm going to continue to say that until proven otherwise. So if his attorney wants to know if I've made up my mind, the answer is yes. I have no problem telling anybody where I lie on any case. Have I made my mind up about who's responsible and what happened? Yes. Yes, I have. Now, is that subject to change? Yes. Yes, it is. It's subject to change when new factual information comes out. But the factual information that I have indicates that something happened in that house. It shows that Jake is the violent party inside that home. And we have a woman with a black eye and a child missing. I think we can connect the dots. And I'm sorry if that's not good enough for the attorney, but I'm not a court of law. I'm the court of public opinion.
The vehicle today, the vehicle's been gone since Thursday.
Yeah, I haven't made my mind up, but I will say this. This is a case that is definitely different than most missing children cases I cover, and I've done this for 38 years. When the police send me out a statement saying that foul play is potentially afoot, and when we get reports that they brought cadaver dogs to the house, and that the parents aren't cooperating, then yeah, spidey senses go up. I was actually very concerned when Rebecca referred to Emmanuel in past tense as well. Are you aware of that?
I saw the video like anybody else. I can't speak for Rebecca.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Because, classic defense attorney, right? Because, people grieve differently, right? In the defense attorney's world, people grieve differently. And so that should explain why there's no tears, why they don't act like they're really grieving for the child, like they already know. And then here we go again with the past tense. Well, you guys are going to hear them. I don't think they're highly educated. What does highly educated have to do with whether you subconsciously believe your child's dead or alive? Just saying. Has nothing to do with education or vocabulary. Zero. Let's listen.
I can tell you that she doesn't have a master's degree, bachelor's degree, any other degree in public speaking. So I can't speak as to...
I can tell you, sir, I don't either. I don't either. But I also don't refer to people I don't believe as deceased in the past tense. But I'm not a scholar. I'm not an attorney. I'm not educated in public speaking. I educated myself in public speaking. But even before I was a public speaker, I still didn't use past tense in referring to my friends when we were doing things in the here and now. Just saying.
To that, same thing for Jake. The thing that I don't understand, and like you're saying, this isn't like a normal investigation. Why has the sheriff's department not even released a missing persons flyer? Let's put the onus on. There's not been one search party.
No, they did. They released the missing persons flyer. We showed it.
So this is, from what we hear, this was produced by the family. Now, they're going to say it was produced by the mom and the dad. We all know the mom and dad did not produce this. It was probably somebody, a friend or a family that made this, because the mom and dad are too busy trying to say, poor me, poor me, poor me. I doubt they've done anything. And their attorney is giving them an excuse on why they can't go out even to search, as if they don't have family, which we've seen the sister up on the screen. We've seen co-workers. We've seen this. We've seen that. Where's their family? I can tell you right now, when I had no car for 4 months, I chose to stay here miserably without a vehicle. I didn't want to bother anybody to take me here, take me there. If I had to go somewhere, I ordered the food here. Or if I needed to go somewhere, I Ubered. But you know what? If I had a missing child with no vehicle, I'm calling somebody. I'm calling my mom. I'm calling my sisters. I'm calling friends that I haven't talked to in a while saying, hey, I need your help. My child's missing. I've got no wheels. I've got to search for my baby. So people that want to be resourceful or want to do something, they can do it. It's funny that when somebody wants something so bad, it is accomplished. But somehow when somebody really wants to just have the appearance, it's always the excuses. It's always well, I didn't have a ride. Well, if you needed money or you didn't have, food for yourself, what? You wouldn't get food? I bet you would call somebody and say, hey, I'm down for a few bucks. Can you bring me a couple bucks or bring me a burger? Come on. We're resourceful. The human body, the human mind is very resourceful. When we're forced to think outside the box, educated or uneducated, your body thinks outside the box.
Yeah, we're showing it right now on the air.
That's actually provided by mom and dad. Look at the phone numbers, Ashley. Let's be clear about that. Mom and dad.
So that's the parents' one?
That has mom and dad's phone numbers.
Let me ask my control room. Let me ask my. I got you. Vincent, I got you. Let me ask.
Woo-hoo-hoo! That's what I like. He's starting to get emotional in this. That's what I like. That's what I like. You're doing a good job, Ashley. Good job. Rattle in the tree. Rattle in the tree. He needs to take a breath, take a step back.
Ask my control room if they can also find a picture of the flyer that we were told by the police that they had released because they could not invoke an Amber Alert. Vincent Hughes, I know you know as an attorney, you can't issue an Amber Alert unless you have a vehicle and a license plate. Otherwise, there'd be Amber Alerts going off pretty much every 5 minutes of every day, and nobody would respond. So I'm just being told by my control room we don't have a picture of the police flyer, but the police told us they released a flyer. Can you tell me this? KTLA is reporting that the Haro's 2-year-old has been removed from the home. Is that true?
That's what everybody's stating. I mean, Mr. and Mrs. Haro have not been alleged. Your client.
Yeah, I know. He's playing the dumb. He doesn't want to say that they found probable cause to remove children from the home. That's what because let's face it, just because you have a missing child does not give probable cause to remove a child from the home. Okay, there are many parents that have missing children that still kept their children. Why? Because they weren't suspicious and their story made sense, so they didn't remove the children from the home. When they feel that the child is in jeopardy, they will remove that child from the home. It still requires a court order. Okay? So it's not some unknown person saying, hey, we're going to take this child. It takes extreme circumstances, and in many times, in order to be lawful and legal, they have to have a court order from the judge to remove that child. So for this attorney not to know the process is I understand his predicament. Again, he has to be careful with what he says. He is a hired attorney. He's not just an attorney on the outside, observing the case. He's the actual attorney hired. So he has to be very careful with what he says here because there are consequences if he goes too far at this stage, for him. And he knows that. They're well aware of ethics and professionalism at this stage, and he knows what he's allowed to do and what he's not allowed to do. This is not this man's first rodeo.
And has your client told you?
Let's go back.
Has been removed from the home. Is that true?
That's what everybody's stating. I mean, Mr. and Mrs. Haro have not been alleged.
He's your client. Has your client told you? Do you know from your client if he's lost his 2-year-old child
yes,
from the home?
He doesn't have, that the child has been removed and law enforcement wanted them to produce the child. Yes, he did produce the child. As far as is the child in the home, no. Mr. Haro does not have his 2-year-old and is not being allowed access to his 2-year-old, even though no criminal filing has taken place. They had the children before this alleged incident with no criminal case filed. So I don't know what changed. There's nothing here that's been provided that...
I can tell you what's changed. The Department of Children and Family Services dropped the ball. They know darn good and well, had this been any other case, they would have been up in that home making sure that that home was functioning, especially in light of who the father was. And now that this has escalated to where a child is now missing from the home that they should have been watching, they're not playing any more games with children. That's what happened. They gave him an inch, he took a mile, a child's missing, and they're saying it's not going to happen to a second child. That's what changed, sir. Sorry, Ashley. Just thought I'd throw that in there.
They did anything unfoot to these children, the 2-year-old or 7-month-old baby Emmanuel. The reason I'm on this show, to be very clear, is they're begging for the public to help. They're begging for people to provide information. There was a missing tip that was not provided previously.
Oh, yeah, I love this. I love this. They've been begging for help, begging for help. Yeah, begging for help like Christopher and Katie Proudfoot from their bedroom, surrounded by sound, where there's no sound exiting the house, but they're screaming for Sebastian. Where are you, Sebastian? Where are you, Sebastian? It's just the problem is nobody can hear him. So basically, what I'm basically saying is,
bullshit level DEFCON 5.
That's what I'm saying. Oh, great show, BHBLE knows this stinks. They do, and thank God it didn't take. Thank God we're not dealing with another Sumner County. I'm sorry. I don't know if I could take another Sumner County case. I really don't. I think I would lose my shit. I'm not lying. I don't know what I would do, but we would be flying out to California. I would be taking attorney money. We'd be going out to California if we had another Sebastian Rogers. I'm telling you that right now. I can't stand it, but it sounds like that we're not dealing with Sumner County. We're dealing with San Bernardino, California, which, like I said, you're not going to hear me complain. Because so far, I don't expect everything to be done perfectly, but so far they're getting the job done. Okay, is it being done perfectly? I don't think so. I've never seen a perfect case so far. Okay.
Or it was provided to law enforcement. Law enforcement did not provide it to anybody else. And until I started speaking with media this morning, now law enforcement acknowledges, oh yes, we were aware of that tip. Law enforcement is being very tight-lipped about the situation. That's what's concerning. No search parties have been organized. These parents don't have a vehicle.
No search parties have been organized. Well, sir, nothing. Are your clients broke? Like are they broken half? Do they are they the ones with the broke extremities, like arms and legs and stuff? Because typically it's the families. I mean, we're talking about Giovanni Pelletier just earlier. Who found him? The freaking family. It's not the response. I mean, yes, we pay our law enforcement to go out there, but they don't know where these people go. They don't know what they do. The people that are closest to this child would have the most knowledge. Where is their search party? Where is their family coming together and getting out there to search for this child? I am so sick and tired of people passing the buck. This is their child, not the country's child. Where is their active work? This attorney just keeps giving them a pass of why they can't do this and why they can't do that and why they can't do this and why they can't do that. We're tired of excuses. We want actions, we want answers, and we want to know where this child is. That's it. That's it.
Like I said, they voluntarily gave up all of their devices after a search warrant was issued. They gave passwords and everything. How can they assist in this? Their home is in a very remote area, in an area where it's over 100 degrees during a heat wave. They have no reliable transportation. They don't have phones or internet to contact people because their devices have been taken. So how can they participate? Everyone's made their mind up and saying that they're refusing to do anything. They can't.
Hold on. I think that let's just jump in right there. How you asked the question, how can they assist in this? Well, they could assist by continuing to be cooperative with the police. That would be the #1 starter. Don't you believe that?
I'm telling you right now, Ashley, on national news, if the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department would like to speak with Jake Haro, we can make that happen tonight. I'm telling you that right now.
What about Rebecca?
Unequivocally. I don't represent Rebecca, so I can't make a statement for Rebecca.
But he has been making several statements for her, except they deleted certain days. Exactly, Sandwich, that's what I said. Nobody wants to talk about that. There's a red car in the driveway. Exactly. This is a bunch of horse crap. From what I hear, the whole damn database was deleted, Faye. I didn't hear. I heard that all the videos were deleted. Now, I don't know if that meant all the videos in the time frame they were searching for, or if they meant the whole entire the cloud that stored all of the videos from their camera. I don't know if that was completely wiped. It might have just been the days, and I just may have misunderstood what they were saying when they said that it had been wiped. But when I hear it's been wiped, I'm thinking everything's been deleted. That's kind of what I think. It's the grandma's car. Well, great. Well, then they have transportation. Perfect. Then there's no excuse for why they can't go out there and search. And Grandma is so adamant that nobody is responsible for this. It's just a big misunderstanding. She should be, leaped and bounds willing to help. Grandma should have no problem helping whatsoever.
Okay. Did Jake tell the police and Rebecca that she couldn't take a lie detector test?
I wasn't there. I can't confirm or deny that story. And in any event, I think most attorneys,
you don't know that from your client, though? You haven't spoken. Let me just ask.
Yeah, she's hitting. He's playing stupid. She's hitting hard. Let me go here. I just heard some other things ding in. Give me just a second. Aw, thank you guys. You guys have been so super sweet. So let me just go through here. I just want to tell everybody thanks for participating in our little goal. And we really wanted something, a lot of people, it was about, you can do other things than just, but I wanted people to say some nice things to one another in the chat. So showing some love, saying hi, and then it's like love yourself as much as you love your maker. And just some words of affirmation I thought would be nice for our beautiful ladies on this hump day. We got hugs and miss all of you. We've got prayers for those that are in need. Be kind to everyone. It'll make somebody's day better. It costs you nothing. Plus you feel good when you're kind. Everyone wins. We got, I like this one. Inhale, love, exhale, gratitude. Just some good stuff. Just some good stuff. Smile and the world smiles back. And then we have Jen. She's ready for a padded room. You get back what you give. So give away some love. Love it. Love it. And then some are more, reminding us about other cases when we were having conversations. And this was about the 17-year-old at the track meet that was stabbed. We went over that. And stay the course God gives you, thankfully. We got Lori just wants to hear me say, I'm a love machine. So there you go. And Cindy reminding us it is a great show. And so thank you all. Thank you all for participating. Wasn't quite enough to get us to our goal. We still have, if we get to our goal, we will be giving away a shirt, a hat, a Bullhorn Betty hat. Everybody can use a hat. It's hot as heck outside right now. There is not one person that can't use a great hat to keep the sun out of their face right now. So if you guys would like to, please consider supporting and saying some words of affirmation or something to empower or to inspire someone. Or if you just have a question you want seen or a statement made about one of our cases. That's always what those chats are for, but I wanted something a little more positive today.
Because he said we need an attorney present, and the reporting is from the police is that Rebecca refused to take a lie detector test because Jake, her husband, said no unless there's an attorney present and you are his attorney. Did he not discuss that with you?
He asked for his attorney to be present, from my understanding. As far as the lie detector test, no attorney in their right mind is going to say yes. submit to something that's not admissible in court.
Wow. But they didn't, from my understanding, they didn't ask Jake. They asked Rebecca, and he doesn't represent Rebecca. So why didn't Rebecca take the lie detector test? And of course, no attorney's going to allow their guilty client to take a lie detector test. But typically, people take a lie detector test when their child is missing. Oh, thank you, Jen. Jen and G.A. gifted 5 Bullhorn Betty memberships. If you received your Bullhorn Betty membership, welcome to this crazy family we call the Coffee Club, i.e. the Insane Asylum. Grab your straitjacket and your padded room, and we got 5 beautiful people. I can see who got them now. We, for years, were unable to. So Karen, Starlight, No More Lies, Littlefoots, and Barbie CP. It's nice to see you all. Welcome to this crazy family. We get cray-cray over here. We get a little cray-cray. Thank you so much, Jen. We really do appreciate it. Came in late, wanted to start from the beginning of the video. Does it go back? It doesn't. I don't know if it's a YouTube thing or if it's because I'm streaming on OBS. I'm just unsure. I am so sorry, but we're going to be wrapping up. We just got a few more minutes and one more video after this, and we're done for the show. We've covered 3 cases today. We've covered Giovanni Pelletier. We're covering the Haro case, and which other one did we cover? We covered another one. I can't remember which one it was, but we covered 3 cases today. Sorry. Oh, Austin Drummond. Duh. Sorry. It's been a long time. We've been on here for a while.
You find a case
not
where
admissible in
somebody
court, but if my
voluntarily...
child was missing, Mr. Hughes, I would take any test you asked me to. I would cooperate. You could lock me up for the rest of my life, and I would cooperate with the police.
Yes.
I'm glad you said that, but it's easy to say something, and it's a different sort of walk in somebody's shoes. There is not a normal for how you handle these situations. It's easy for everybody to...
Here, this is the stuff I'm telling you. This is defense attorneys. Defense attorneys telling us that people act differently. It's defense attorneys saying, oh, well, you don't know how you would act if you were in this situation. It's the defense attorneys that are preconditioning it to us, this bullcrap. Even though we have proof, because we do this over and over and over again, and parents that are missing kids act a very similar way, and parents that are accused of those missing kids act a very similar way. And that's one thing that we have notated on this channel specifically throughout all the cases, is the people that are the suspects and how they behave during these times. And it's quite ironic that they all seem to act the same, yet we always get the same crap from the defense attorney saying, "Oh, you don't know how that." That's a defense. Okay, that's not reality. We all knew that. Now let's listen to this horse crap.
State what should be happening and what's normal, but there's various situations for what's normal. We have everything from how John Walsh handled the situation to how Casey Anthony handled the situation. What is normal?
Yeah, one's not... He brings up a valid point. As you say, from John Walsh. John Walsh, we know, was not guilty. Casey Anthony, we know, was. She had a Swaze attorney that got her off, but we all have our opinions. Hobo Mom, it's nice to see you, love. Gifted a Bullhorn Betty membership. If you received your gifted Bullhorn Betty membership from Hobo's Mom, don't forget to tell Hobo's Mom thank you and welcome to this crazy family we call the Coffee Club, i.e. the Insane Asylum. Grab your straitjacket in your padded room, and it's nice to have you aboard. It's nice to have you aboard. Thank you so much. That's so sweet. That's so sweet. So we have to identify this because, we hear over and over, especially from the hate channels, right? Well, they grieve differently. That's defense attorney crap. That's defense attorney crap. It's not reality. Because reality is what we see every single day with these parents on these channels. And what we see every day with these parents on these channels is that of parents that appear to be very odd. We know the parents that are innocent. They act like Seth Rogers. They act like Riley Strain's mom and dad, where they're beating the pavement. They flew in. They didn't have any excuses. They didn't have a car in Nashville. You know what they did? They rented one. Why? Because their child mattered. They made people that were ringing people up in stores to stop ringing them up and to go get their footage so they can look at it. Begging these people, let me look at your footage. Let me look at your footage. I need to find my boy. And you got these people with lawyers saying, well, you know, they don't have a car. They got their phone taken from them. Excuses, 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 excuses. Nobody missing a child comes up with this many excuses why they should not be out there looking for their child and trying to find their child. If you have to come up with this many excuses of why you can't do something, then you don't want to do it. That's a fact.
This is an alarming situation for everyone involved, and it is awful. I will say to you tonight, it is awful if they truly are victims of someone taking their baby and half the world believes, or maybe more than half the world believes, that there's something afoot with them. I can't imagine being in their shoes at all. Could you just confirm, because I'm not sure I'm 100% clear, Mr. Hughes, could you just confirm that their 2-year-old child has been taken from the home now?
The 2-year-old child is not at their home. I can confirm it.
Yes, we went
Taken
over
from
it.
their home by authorities?
Based on my understanding, that's a potential. I believe that the 2-year-old was removed, but I cannot tell you 100%.
That's
I can tell you
troubling.
the 2-year-old was not at home. It's troubling that
it is
there's no
troubling.
allegation.
Yeah, she says it's troubling. You know why? Because they would have had to show probable cause for the reason for the removal of that child. This is not something where one person makes a decision to remove a child. This is a legal process that must be oversaw by a judge and signed off. That's why Ashley is saying that's a problem. Because it takes a lot to remove a child from a home. That's why every time a child goes missing, they don't have what it takes to remove any other child from that home. In this case, they had enough probable cause to remove that child.
And that 2-year-old was removed.
Well, listen, there's more than allegations. Your client, has a rap sheet including child cruelty. So there are some reasons why they might have done that until they are thoroughly investigated to make sure every child is safe in that home. I really appreciate you being on. This is not an easy interview for you to do. This is an awful situation for everybody involved, and certainly for your client and his wife. It could go either way. I don't know if she's telling the truth, if he's telling the truth, and I don't know if they are horribly victimized in all of this. But Mr. Hughes, I do appreciate your time. And
See, and that's respectful. You don't have, this is what I try to express to people that interview other people. They think they have to coddle their interviewee. You don't have to coddle your interviewee. The only requirement is that you treat them with respect and in consideration. It doesn't preclude you from asking the tough questions. You just watch. Oh, thank you, Serenity. I can tell you they are throwing mom under the bus by the way they... Yes. She's going to be up Schitt's Creek. Her attorney's the first one that came out. She is relying, because she doesn't know what to do, she's relying on her man to protect her. And she doesn't realize his MO is to blame it on somebody else. The last one, he blamed his ex-wife. While he was married to her, she actually had to spend 120 days in work release as well. He got 180 days, and that's because they couldn't figure out who was responsible. We now know who is responsible, because there's only one person that is the same from that story and case to this story case, and that is Jake. So there's no if, and, or buts about who the problem is here. I'm just praying to God that Rebecca doesn't ruin her life before she realizes what he is truly doing to her. And I think she is. Oh, Veronica, thank you. Veronica Be True gifted 5 Bullhorn Betty memberships. If you've received your Bullhorn Betty membership, please don't forget to tell Veronica Be True. Thank you. And for those 5 beautiful people that just became members of the Bullhorn Betty channel, welcome to this crazy family we call the Coffee Club, i.e. the Insane Asylum. Grab your straitjacket and your padded room, and welcome aboard. And Wonder Seekers, Sandy, the hen house. Yes, the newest member. We missed the hen house. Just my girls and happy holiday. Ooh, I like the way she spells that. Well, welcome aboard. Welcome aboard, you beautiful people. So, very, very tough. You can see this attorney is almost exhausted from this interview. And it's tough. It's mentally straining, and he has to balance the rights of his clients in this high-profile interview, and he's doing a good job. And so is Ashley, which is catching this guy off guard because he's not wanting to explain about this. He's not wanting to explain about that. But she's kind of forcing him to and holding his feet to the fire about this because, it's a problematic situation where you have a history of this type of violence toward young children, infants, and we have an infant missing. He was convicted of child cruelty charge, and now we have an infant missing. We have a mother with black eyes and a prior ex-wife that went to jail for the same type of thing. So now we kind of see the pressure that's being mounted against Rebecca from this monster, and now he's hired an attorney to protect his rights. His attorney's on here basically throwing Rebecca under the bus. Rebecca better smarten up. She better smarten up, and her family better smarten up. Because if you care about her, you need to get her away from this animal. He is going to destroy her. And trust me, this is not going to be a 120 day, you going to work release. This is going to be years in prison. Years. Rebecca better wisen up, because I'm telling you, there are a lot of abused women out here fighting for her to do what's right. And she refuses to. And we cannot have any more pity for this woman. She has been led to the water. All she needs to do is freaking drink. That's it. That's it. And Rebecca has got to find the woman and the mother in her. And she has got to fight, claw, and scratch right now. And she's not doing it. I don't know how to empower this woman to do the right thing by her and her son. I don't know. The only thing we can do is throw her right in the pits of hell, right along the man that she's choosing to stay with, that has done nothing but ruin her life. Ruin her life. And they're both good. She I believe she's abused. I don't believe she wanted her child to be injured. I think it's proof on her face that she obviously fought for herself and whatever was going on, okay? Because that black eye is a real black eye, and that black eye she's been sporting since August 3rd that we know of, okay? So I'm sorry, that woman got the shit beat out of her, and her child disappeared around the same time. I don't think she is the one that was violent to her child. Her biggest crime right now is standing by and doing nothing about it. Okay? That to me is what her culpability in all of this is. But at the end of the day, she stood by and lied for the man that took her child away from her and off this earth. And we just cannot continue to allow that. All we can do is beg her to do the right thing. But if she chooses not to do the right thing, we can't have pity on her. And there are reasons why.
Here in Yucaipa, California, the community has shown out here for Emmanuel Haro, who disappeared on August 14th here.
Sorry, hold on.
Here, new developments have just surfaced in 1080. We had just received a message. There's a camera that faces in that direction. The owner of that property messaged us and told us, in fact, that they didn't see no other vehicle. They didn't see no other person. They seen quite possibly a white PT Cruiser but Rebecca does drive a white vehicle, and so insider information now tells us from the jewelry store that nobody approached this portion of the parking lot, at least not from what the camera, and God opened, bro, every camera here is lined up with bushes.
So he's going to tell you all the cameras. So that somebody told me yesterday that camera from the jewelry store was broken. That's not true. They got the camera. They got the shot. There was nobody following this woman. Okay? Much like what we just learned about Giovanni Pelletier, he was all by himself. She was all by herself.
Except that camera, and it points directly in the path of where Rebecca says that somebody said hola, and boom. So the camera, I'm sure the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department has now taken that footage. They're not gonna tell us. There's also a taco spot called TNC Taco or TNB Taco and Burrito or something like that across the street. They have a 6-hour video that was given to authorities as well, and it doesn't capture this portion of the parking lot, but it does capture all vehicles coming to and from Yucaipa Boulevard. They are going to see, in fact, at what time the mother came. They're going to see if there was another vehicle, if there was a PT Cruiser. That is the latest information that we have here. This is a visual here for Emmanuel.
So now we know where the discrepancies come from. The question April just wrote, hey, April, it's nice to see you, love. I hope you're doing well. Tell Eric I said hi. Has there been any confirmation when the last time was someone actually saw the baby physically, like engaged with him? You know, I definitely not this month, because she got the black eye on the 3rd, and the child didn't even go to the funeral. She had a funeral, family funeral, 2 days later on August 5th, and the baby was not with her, and they said that she was wearing heavy makeup trying to hide the black eye. So the answer is, I don't know when the last third party saw that. When's the last proof of life of this child for confirmed? I don't know when that is. I don't know if, because even her family, she seems very isolated. This whole entire family seems very isolated. Even their family, and that was brought up by somebody in one of the emails I read this morning, that basically said that it appeared that the family wasn't, as distant. They don't even know what's going on. So I'm wondering if this lady and man just isolated themselves from their entire family, and yeah, family saw the baby, but here and there, like maybe once a month, or once every 3 months or so. It didn't seem like they were regularly conversating like most of our families are, where we go and do things. It's not all the time, but we get together and do stuff with one another. It sounds like it's something like that. I don't know. I'd like to know when the last time this child went to a doctor appointment is. If this child has ever been to a doctor's appointment, and what the doctor found as abnormal or anything like that, because I believe they caused brain damage in this child long before he lost his life, and that was all covered up. I really do believe that was covered up, because, I'm looking at photos of him. He looks like a lost little baby. It looked like he had light in his eyes when he was younger. And then it's like when we started seeing that gash above his eyes, actually before the gash above his eyes, because I saw one where he didn't have the gash or the scar on his eyebrow. And he was just spacey. He was just spacey. So I'm just, this poor little baby, God knows what kind of problems he would have had in his future, just based on everything that we do know. But to now start really honing in on this case and realizing how truly bad it is. We know that this child's gone. We just pray to God we can find his poor little body and lay him to rest. This was all a hoax. The mom lied. This guy's out here, boots on the ground. He's got no reason. He doesn't know this family. He's got no reason to attack this family or to tell his audience lies. It sounds like he's a truth seeker. He wants the truth. He's working his ass off to find every bit of information he can find out about this case to provide to the public so we are in the know. He's telling us where these cameras are. He's speaking to the people inside those stores. I mean, he's doing his job as an investigative reporter, and he's providing us a lot of information here. And the bottom line is everything he's providing us is supporting that this family has been lying to us. And we've got a defense attorney that's protecting the abuser, which is going to be at the expense of the abused. And everything's falling apart. I'm glad the child is out of the home. I really wish the mom would leave. I think the world is very concerned about the mom. But I'm concerned about her. But at this point, I have to put my concern for her in a different compartment, because at the end of the day, what she is doing is wrong. And if she had any love in her heart for her son, she would stop the bullshit. Nobody believes it. Nobody. Just stop it. Just stop. Come to Jesus. Come to your son. Tell us the truth. Make sure Jake can never do this to anybody else ever again. But she won't. So, unfortunately, we have to acknowledge that she has made her bed, and we have to continue to go forward despite my feelings. I don't like doing this. I don't like doing this because I believe she is a victim, but she is making herself a culprit and an accessory, and that we cannot allow. She's wrong. This child deserved a better mother than this. And to me, I believe she is a better mother than this. She needs to do the right thing. She needs to do the right thing. So we'll keep going down this road, but it looks like Jake, the abuser that he is going to try his hardest to blame this squarely on Rebecca. He set her up to go up there by herself. He gave her the script to use to try to throw the investigation into the homicide of this 7-month-old child. And he has used and abused that woman until he can't use and abuse that woman. And at some point, it's time to pay the piper. And he is making sure that he doesn't go down alone, even though he is the culprit, the single and alone culprit of the demise of injuring a 10-week-old that almost lost her life, and now a young 7-month-old baby that has lost his life. So I'm going to continue to say that he is deceased. I do not believe he was abducted, and I believe that the father, Jake Haro, is the one that murdered that little boy. That is my opinion. I'm entitled to it, and I am going. This is the difference between me and these piece of crap parents. When I say you're going to hear me screaming from the rooftops, people typically hear me screaming from the rooftops, not from my bedroom that's padded with noise-preventing foam. I'm going to be on my rooftop with a bullhorn, i.e. Bullhorn Betty. And that's what we expect from our parents that are missing children. Not this crap of I got excuses out the wazoo on why I can't advocate or go search for my child. They're wrong. We know it. We want them in jail as quickly as possible. Let's say a prayer for all my prayer folks in here, for law enforcement, that something breaks, that reality, that clarity is seen, and that this child is found and brought home. Those law enforcement officers out there that are actually taking their job seriously. Again, not Sumner County, Tennessee. We're dealing with San Bernardino, California at this moment in time. And we need to put our hands on them and make sure that they have all the tools to bring justice to these people, to make sure that this child can rest in peace. And let me find out that these yahoos threw that child in a garbage can, and we're raising money, and we are going to have a lot to say in California. This child deserved better. This child was not garbage. This child deserved to have a life. And because he was born to the wrong parents, here we are. Once again, same story, different name, different face. God bless you. Keep rocking it out with your coffee beans out. Don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And until next time, please be safe, but more importantly, kind to one another. God bless.